Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Mrs. Mouse.
Hi there.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Dax.
Happy Thursday to you.
It's Thursday.
Oh, it is.
It's almost Friday.
We have a super cool guest today. Came to us by way of a mutual friend, Liz Plank.
That's right.
She turned us on to him. It's shocking to me that I hadn't already been hip to him. I love his message so much. Scott Galloway. Scott Galloway is a best-selling author, a professor, and an entrepreneur. He's currently professor of marketing at NYU Stern School of Business. He also has two very successful podcasts, the Prof G Pod and Pivot Podcast. His books are The Four, Algebra of Happiness, Adrift, and Post-Corona. We get to talk to him in an area that's just something he cares about. That's what the bulk of ours was.
Yeah, it's mainly about masculinity.
Yeah, men and masculinity, and kind of a report card of where young men are at currently.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I love you.
Love you.
Please enjoy Scott Galloway.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly, Dax. This is the best thing that's happened to me today. I didn't put two and two together. I saw expert interview, and I'm like, it's another media company that I've fooled. And then you guys came up, and I recognized both of you, and I'm like, oh my God, I've hit the big time.
That's so flattering.
That's very flattering.
And you have a painting of a Great Dane behind you, and I have a Great Dane. I'm a Great Dane addict, if you will.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I love them. They're so regal. They're so enormous. Shelf life's not great on these things, right?
No.
What do we, 4 to 7 years?
It's not that bad. You got to get the run to the litter because the difference between 120 pounds and 180 is like 2 to 3 years. But they're gentle giants. They're really loving dogs.
Yeah.
You have a Great Dane energy.
Sweet, loving, and stupid?
No, regal.
Oh, regal.
Thanks for that.
Well, I'm incredibly excited to talk to you because we have A, so many common interests, but B, really similar life stories. If I may.
really?
Here we go.
Uh-oh, but first we must shout out
Liz
Plank,
Plank. Yes,
which is how I got connected to you.
Love Liz.
Yes, she's a frequent what would we call-
Connector?
Well, no, a fucking squatter in our guest house. She regularly lives in our guest house. So
Yeah, I'd hate having a smart, hot woman hanging out.
that's exactly how I feel.
That must really suck. Anyways.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit you with some shit. Single mother. This is a really unifying, I think, force.
Yeah.
UCLA.
Yep.
How tall are you?
I used to be 6'3", now I'm 6'2". I'm shrinking. How much do you weigh? Let's see how far we can go down here.
I am currently 207.
Okay, you win. I'm 187.
That's tremendous.
Wow.
Now, I lived at 185 for 25 years, and then 3 years ago, I said, I want to be a big boy. I've never been a big boy, and I'm going to commit all my energy to being a big boy.
So you're lifting?
Oh my God, lifting around the clock, using testosterone, going berserk, watching my diet.
So you're a beast.
I went up to 215 and now I'm scaling back. I had my thrill and now I'm coming back down to probably 200.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke hits podcasts.
Yes, all the facial surgeries are scheduled. Those are upcoming.
Nice, good for you. Yeah, I work out not as much as you. I have trouble keeping weight on. I'm jealous of the fact that you could put on muscle mass like that. But anyways, back to single mothers.
Well, no, hold on. Fuck it, we're here.
It's all related.
What's your openness to hormonal supplementation? That's the key, really.
I'm on T therapy.
Okay.
I haven't had the same result as you. All it's done is I put on about 3 to 5 pounds of muscle. When I was younger, I used to do cycles of creatine, and that would put on 5 to 8 pounds of kind of lean body mass. CrossFit makes me bigger, but I'm 58 now. CrossFit's a little too intense for me, so I just have a tough time keeping weight on. But I have body dysmorphia. I was so skinny growing up. And then finally, when I joined crew at UCLA, I started putting on weight. And quite frankly, people started treating me differently, i.e. women started treating me differently.
Yeah.
And so I associate confidence and good things happening to me with being a little bit bigger. So I would love to be 200 pounds and add another 13 pounds of muscle, but it's almost genetically, I think, near impossible for me.
Okay, so body dysmorphia, I have it as well. I want to know what age yours started.
Well, mine started really young. When I got my driver's license, I was 5'10", 120 pounds. When I got to UCLA, I was 6'2", 150 pounds with bad acne, which isn't a good rap. Yeah, I look like Ichabod Crane with bad skin. And just so many good things started happening for me when I got bigger and started working out. And I just associate that. I have the same thought every time I look in the mirror, and that is, I look too skinny and I look frail and old. And I think some of the body dysmorphia that we bring a lot of attention to around women who constantly struggle with weight the different way, I think a lot of guys feel the same way, but it's not healthy.
I totally agree with you. And what's funny is because we talk about this a lot on here, the women's side is purported to be driven by men. I'd argue it's driven by other women. I know the male side is driven by other men.
But you're saying you got attention from women in a different way.
Yeah, but I was a decent athlete. I peaked at the age of 9 athletically, and then I grew a foot, and I was no longer able to play football or contact sports because I was just so tall and skinny. But I think in the fashion industrial complex, we've never kind of settled in on what's average. The positive side of this, physical fitness is my antidepressant. I go down a rabbit hole. If I don't sweat, if I don't work out, I have real trouble. And it would require substances or some sort of other intervention, which would be a bad way for me to go, I think. I've worked out 4 times a week for 40 years. So it's played a huge role in my life in a positive way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've actually thought on numerous occasions, I'll probably live a lot longer through my vanity.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like I quit smoking not because I was afraid of lung cancer, but because I knew I would age 3x of what I was supposed to. I was like, I don't want a quadrillion wrinkles when I'm 38. It was all for my face, not my lungs. And weirdly enough, Liz gave me this study. There's a great study where they ask women to pick the body type they think men want, and then men. What happens uniformly is that women pick a body type that's way thinner than what men want, and men pick a body type way more muscular than any other woman wants, which is why I say it's driven by our kind of competitive nature with one another.
It's also primal. I think that strength and physicality are just wonderful things to embrace. And it's not about being super skinny or super ripped. It's about being the strongest version of yourself. And you're younger than me, but once you get to about 45 or 50, you look back and you think, shit, why wasn't I a fucking monster when I could have been? Because it gets near impossible as you get older. It becomes just like hanging on. So I like it when people really embrace their physicality and try to be just a stronger version of themselves.
This is all retroactively. It all makes perfect sense now. Maybe it's not this crystal clear. But for me, no dad around. I had an older brother, which was helpful. But in general, being handed the baton of masculinity or someone saying you're doing it correctly was not there. So in the absence of that, I looked at my peers and I looked to other kids my age, other males, to define my masculinity. Did you have any consequence of not having a dad in the house that you now realize you were just dying to win your male stripes?
I think the tough part for me around not having a dad around, it sounds very basic, but we didn't have any money. And kids who grow up in low-income households have just higher resting blood pressure. Yeah, it was hard not having a dad around. My dad was sort of involved in my life. You know, I spent every other weekend with him. The lesson I took from my father, though, was try and fuck anything, regardless of the impact it has on your life. My dad was Scottish, handsome, and living in California in the 70s, which meant he could not only think with his dick, but he could listen to it. And that was my role model. My dad's been married and divorced 4 times. His inability to maintain any sort of monogamous relationship has kind of ruined him up until the age of 80, and then he got his act together. We think his 5th marriage is going to stick. I didn't have what I'd call a high character male role model. And then like you, I think a lot about masculinity. I defined masculinity as one, being awesome. I got a job as an investment banker because I thought it would be awesome. I thought, you know, American Psycho, that I'm just supposed to be a baller. That's what it means to be successful, not knowing what investment banking was. I tried to be huge, and I tried to have sex with as many strange people as possible. There's some good and some bad things about those things, the skills you develop. But then as you get older, you realize that masculinity is a wonderful thing. You just have to define it. It's not the domain strictly of people born as men. I think a lot of women demonstrate fantastic masculine features, and I think of it as garnering strengths and skills such you can protect and advocate for others, whether that's organizing communities, trying to help other people, advocating for young men, advancing the career of other people, whatever it might be. But that's true masculinity. So I still like to think of myself as a Tarzan alpha male. I want to be a masculine person. I aspire to be masculine. It's just how you define what masculinity is. You know, my mom was the light of my life. And something that's hugely rewarding for me now is seeing the closeness between my partner and our sons. I don't think there's anything that replicates the mother-son or the mother-daughter relationship. It was the reason I got my act together. I was like you, or I think I was like you. I spent most of my time at UCLA smoking dope and watching Planet of the Apes. That was kind of what I did for 5 years at UCLA. And then when I got out of school, my mom got very sick. And I remember the exact weekend I was in graduate school, and she called me and said, I am not doing well. I need you to come home and help me. And she had been discharged from the hospital after going through like her 3rd round of chemo. And I walked into a very ugly situation in my house. And I'm like, okay, I got to get a nurse. And nurses were $55 an hour, which I didn't have. I was in graduate school. And then I called the hospital back, and she was in an HMO, and they're like, we can't take her. And I remember thinking, like, I'm the man here. My only job is to take care of my mom, and I can't do it. And it was just so humiliating and so emasculating. What is the point of being a man if you can't take care of your mother, right? It's just like I had failed on a cosmic level. And I get emotional just remembering it, but quite frankly, it was exceptionally motivating. It's time to get your shit together, boss. And I often say now that I have kids, and this is something I think every parent struggles with, if I had what my kids have, I wouldn't have what I have.
Oh, yeah.
It was an absence of things that really motivated me to make the requisite commitment that's required to be successful. And then you talked about your peer group. I got so lucky because we like to think as parents that our kids are a block of clay and you can shape them. We get the chisel kind of 30 minutes a day maybe. But the thing that had probably the most impact on me was my peer group. And I just lucked out. One of my friends was a Mormon going to Stanford. Another friend of mine was a black kid that wouldn't go to college unless he got a football scholarship. So I'd like to think I got both aspiration and empathy. I just fell into a good peer group. I got very lucky.
What part of LA was this?
I went to University High School. I lived in Westwood.
Oh, okay. So in the shadow of UCLA the whole time.
Yeah, I'm a fan of big government, and people constantly shitpost our government. But the reason I'm here talking to you is the generosity of California taxpayers and the vision of the University of California Regents. I got into UCLA when they had a 76% admissions rate, and I got rejected the first time. My dad got me a job installing shelving, $18 an hour, which seemed like a shit ton of money. And the only thing I had that I looked forward to is at the end of the day, we used to get ridiculously high, and then I would take to the highways in my 84 Honda Accord. And I remember coming home, and I was living with my mom, and I remember saying, like, is this it? Like, my whole life, people have been telling me I'm smart and impressive, and now I'm literally in a closet all day. And she said, apply again. There was an appeal process, and I remember, like, the co-head of admissions from UCLA called me and said, you're not qualified, but you're the son of a single mother and a son of California. We're going to give you a shot. And it changed my life. It started an upward trajectory that has just paid off hugely for me. And unfortunately, the admissions rate at UCLA this year will be 9%.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think? Because I graduated in 2000, and I don't know that it was 9%, but it couldn't have been much more than 12.
Education used to be the upward lubricant of kind of the middle class, and it's turned into the enforcer of the caste system. If you're from a top 1% income earning household, you're 77 times more likely to get into an elite university. There are now 33 of the top 100 colleges have more kids from the top 1% than the bottom 60. And me and my colleagues, and I say my colleagues, people in academia, we think of ourselves as Chanel bags, not as public servants. And every year when the dean stands up and says, we rejected 90% of our applicants, all of us stand up and applaud, which in my view is tantamount to the head of a homeless shelter bragging that he or she turned away 9 in 10 people last night. Because higher education used to be about trying to give the bottom 90% a chance to be in the top 10%. And now we've optimized to try and figure out who are the top 1% and turn them into billionaires. And I don't think that's what America is about. So I think me and my colleagues are kind of drunk on the self-aggrandizement and arrogance that has turned us into luxury brands as opposed to public servants. I think it's a real shame. And it's something that I find very distressing. And I have personal relation to it because I don't think anyone can predict greatness at the age of 17 or by a bloodline. And if they tried to do that with me, they wouldn't have let me in.
Yeah. You were on the board of Berkeley, yeah?
I was on the board of the business school about 10, 12 years ago, but I'm being very reductive. I think the University of California is doing their level best. They're trying to expand freshman seats by 20,000 seats over the next 10 years. State-sponsored education is who I am. Did you study theater at UCLA?
Anthropology.
Anthropology. That's awesome.
I was not content with the culture that was handed to me. I was curious, were there other approaches? Was there less puritanical? Was there less constrictive? I just felt like there must be other ways to do this. And I think that's what got me interested in it. And I got a little frustrated with there being such little application to the social science, as it were. We're culturally relative. We're not really supposed to be prescriptive in any way. That got a little frustrating. But I think the thing I walked with was not just openness, but a genuine, I get stimulated by forcing myself to imagine why infanticide might not be morally reprehensible in a certain context. That's the thing I took away that I really applied to the rest of my life, that I would recommend doing anthro to anyone.
You know, I would say in my next life, I'm going to be a Broadway dancer, a Navy SEAL, or an evolutionary anthropologist. I think understanding the millions of years of activities and the kind of path and the predisposition we have around everything is really fascinating. And because we become, more sensitive and in some instances more woke, we ignore how powerful these influences are.
I think I'm probably in the same spot as you. I'm projecting now, but I think I have this understanding of our evolution. I have an understanding of how new the experiment is. I have these liberal ideals. I also have this belief in how we were designed to live. I'm trying to mate those things. I'm also looking at society. And we were just talking a few weeks ago. We had a relationship psychiatrist on. She was brilliant. But I was saying, I'm curious in 200 years if we watch what the fallout of this trajectory is. And if I could do it in 1 second, it's like, well, we were originally designed to have to depend on 50 to 100 people. That's just what it took to survive on this planet with no good tools. We had to do that. We lived that way for 100,000 years. Then we whittled it down over time until 2 people could make a go at it. 2 people could get married. They could procreate. They could provide all their needs. And now it only is 1 person. And guess what? I'm in favor of all those steps that got us to 1 person. I'm in favor of women being educated and employed. I have 2 daughters. I want them to do whatever they wanted with the same freedom I had. Yet I am questioning what the result will be when all of us just live single in 200 years. This animal that is the most social primate ever is now a solitary creature. That's what right now perplexes me and I guess concerns me.
You're the one with a degree in anthropology, and I think you're more thoughtful about this than I am. In terms of a monogamous relationship and marriage, I don't know what we're going to be doing in 100 years, but I'm not sure it's going to look like marriage. Marriage rates are plummeting. If you watch TikTok long enough, it'll just convince you that marriage is a bad deal for men and women somehow. And as women become more educated, their criteria go up, so their filter gets much finer. There's a lot of what I'd call economically and emotionally unviable men. There's going to be 2 female college graduates for every 1 in the next 5 years. And going back to anthropology, women mate socioeconomically horizontally and up, and men horizontally and down. In some, a female college graduate doesn't want to mate with a non-college graduate male. And so we're producing just a massive number of kind of unviable men, or men that don't meet the criteria that women have for a mate. And there's questions around, well, men need to level up. What I do find disappointing is that when we talk about many of the challenges facing women and girls, we talk about it in societal terms and the needs for intervention. When we talk about problems with young men, it's essentially a discussion around personal accountability and summed up by young men just need to get their shit together. And I think young men are really struggling. Your point around the size of the tribe, what strikes me is that when we're sort of connected to each other via algorithms and technology, it isolates us, makes us less social, and gives us this kind of reasonable facsimile or fake signal around what it means to be social, what it means to be in a relationship. And I worry that we're disconnecting from each other. And there's a lot of data. Church attendance is down. The number of kids joining the Boy or the Girl Scouts, the number of people who speak to their neighbors is down like 30 or 40%. And I wonder if we're just becoming, especially a lot of young men, very isolated from one another. The key to happiness and longevity, the number 3 is genetics, number 2 is lifestyle, number 1 is how social you are. And there's just a crisis in loneliness. 1 in 7 men in America don't have a single friend.
My father-in-law was visiting this weekend. He had just read this headline in, I don't know if it was New York Times or whatever. Yeah, but the single predictor of longevity is friendship.
How social you are.
I think that would blow people's mind. We had also an expert on years ago that was saying, if given the choice between being a smoker with friends or a non-smoker without friends, it would be a healthier decision to be a smoker with friends.
Yeah, loneliness is the equivalent of, they say on your health, of 17 cigarettes a day. And it goes back to more evolutionary biology, but your brain has kind of a security monitor on, observing your activities every day. And that's the bad news. The good news is it can be fooled easily. And it's basically, it says, okay, exercise means you're hunting or you're building housing. Let's let him or her stick around a while. When you engage with other people, it means you're taking care of them, you're loving them. Caregivers live the longest. New mothers don't die. So when you're engaged in other people's lives, the camera goes, all right, this person is adding value. When you're doing a crossword puzzle or working hard, it says, okay, this person is making decisions for the tribe. Let's keep him or her around a while. You want to die? Just stop talking to people, stop engaging mentally, stop exercising, and you'll get your wish because the brain will go, this person's not adding any value. It's time to let out those hormones that ramp up the bad cholesterol, and you'll get your wish. You got to stay super engaged, and I think a lot of technology is taking us exactly the wrong place, especially young men who biologically, their prefrontal cortex just doesn't evolve as fast. You have 2 girls. I have 2 boys. Basically, I figured out that my job, my role as a parent is to be their prefrontal cortex, that they just do so many stupid things every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you can't watch TikTok for 14 hours. That's not a good idea. You know, you do need to do your homework.
How old are they?
They're 12 and 15 going on 4.
Okay, right.
Girls mature faster. When your daughters are seniors in high school and they're 17 and they're applying to college, from a neuroscience standpoint, a 17-year-old boy they're competing against a 15-year-old girl. 7 in 10 high school valedictorians are girls, and they're just blowing away boys on almost every educational metric.
Okay, so I want to be clear and say up front, I don't like this branch of folks in public. There's some famous evolutionary biologists that are making a lot of speeches to men. I also believe culture is much stronger than all this stuff. So I'm also a big, big believer in culture. So every time someone wants to say we should be living a certain way because of our evolutionary bias, I'm a little cautious about that. Yet it's certainly a big factor. And what I just pointed out, like I would say simply, if you force a chimp to live on its own in the jungle, it would be dead in a couple days. You put 25 solitary Bengal tigers in the same compound, they're all dead because they've shred each other apart. It's very weird to put social animals, make them solitary or vice versa. So I do think that's a big unavoidable reality of us as a species. But my other disclaimer I want to say is, I can't imagine it's easy to have sympathy for boys because, yes, we live in a patriarchy. That's so true. Men have fucking had women as slaves for the last 150,000 years. We have implemented systems and laws that favor us, and particularly the wealthy members of us that are white. So I get the deplorable history of us, and I bet it's really hard to be sympathetic to us. But there was an English TV show, and they put 10-year-old little girls in a house for a week, and then they put 10-year-old little boys in a house for a week, totally unsupervised. They taught all of them how to cook before they got in there. Within day one of the little girls had established herself as the cook. She made them dinner. Another girl put on a fashion show. Now, a few of them bounced out, the girls. The boys never cooked. They only ate cereal. The house, it was a teardown when they were done.
Yeah, the garage was on fire and the dog was pregnant.
Yeah, yes. And they had divided into 2 warring factions, and then a third one splintered off. And I'm just looking at that, again, as an anthropologist, and I go, okay, some sympathy is warranted. What we are biologically designed to do, what our role has been, which is kind of not existent anymore, what it takes a little boy to become a participant in this complicated society versus what it takes a little girl to become competent.
But I mean, the reason there's anger is despite that, men run the world.
Oh, I know.
So that's where there's an injustice, where it feels like, wait. But they can't even cook a meal, but they're in charge of me.
The patriarchy is completely unfair. It needs to not be a patriarchy. I acknowledge all that. The sympathy I'm trying to find for young men is, I think what they have to go through in order to become peaceful members of our society is much greater. I think boys are fucking wild.
When I started talking about the issues facing young men about 2 years ago, I got enormous hostility. And you could understand it. Well, you guys have been given a 400-year head start. All of a sudden, your hair's on fire because now that women are finally getting what they deserve, you're all of a sudden, advocating for social change. And a lot of people accuse you of saying, oh, men are lonely. You're saying that women have an obligation to service men. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. Most of my friends in college were having sex with other men. It's just that when it was 60-40 male-female in college entrance, we decided to have affirmative action for women and level up women. And I think that was the right thing to do. The education system appears to be biased against men. The labor market appears to be biased against women. Because when you have 17% female CEOs, Jordan Peterson would argue, well, equality of opportunity is not equality of outcome. When it's 17%, it is equality of opportunity. opportunity. And they'll back into this notion that, oh, women are smarter. They don't want to be CEOs. It's a tough job. I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. A lot of women would like to have these positions of power. But both men and women, especially in the U.S., despite the fact that women have been graduating in greater numbers from college for 40 years, only 27% of our elected leaders are female because both men and women have an unconscious bias where they conflate height and depth of voice with leadership qualities. And it's not only true among men, it's true among women. So even though, technically speaking, we should just have more women in our elected roles. Show me a woman who's 5'3" and really smart and has great EQ. Hello, school board president. Show me a guy that's 6'2" with a good voice and good hair with 105 IQ. Hello, senator. We have very much an unconscious bias where we conflate traditional male physical attributes with leadership, and we need to modulate that. Now, having said that, under the age of 30, women have not only closed the wage gap, they are now making more money in urban areas than men. And then you look at the stats, 3 times more likely to overdose, men, 4 times more likely to kill themselves, men, 12 times more likely to be incarcerated, suffer from depression. There is a real crisis among young men. And the way I see it, the first thing we got to do is acknowledge that advocating for men isn't a zero-sum game. It doesn't mean you're not a feminist. You know who wants more economically and emotionally viable men? Women.
Definitely.
I talk to a lot of women who say, where are the good men? And the way I see it, we want to figure out the programs, the fathering, the mentoring, and the acknowledging that men and women, at least initially, males and females, are different, such that I like the saying that Richard Reeves, who wrote this wonderful book, Boys to Men, you want someone who's invaluable in a shipwreck and acceptable at a dance. I think there's a lot of things that can be done. I think we need more vocational programs. I think we need more third spaces where men and women can meet and fall in love. We need a massive increase in the number of freshman seats so we can have more women, more people of color, and a lot more men going to college, which is still a great on-ramp to the middle class and for emotional maturation. But I would argue on almost every statistic under the age of 30, it would be difficult to find a cohort that has fallen further faster than young men.
Yeah, you said, what do the most dangerous countries in the world all have in common?
It's simple. They have a preponderance of young, broken, alone men. Critics, when I say that, will say, well, all you're doing is you're prepackaging violence when you say that young men who don't get opportunities are going to become violent. I understand that. That's a valid criticism. But when you hear about a mass shooter, you know who it is before you know who it is. You know it's not a soccer mom. The guy who attacked Salman Rushdie on stage, that wasn't about the fatwa. That was about a guy living in his mother's basement who wasn't attaching to work, wasn't attaching to relationships, wasn't attaching to school. We have to figure out a way that more people have economic viability. And I don't even want to talk about affirmative action for men because I just think it's too politically charged. What I think we need is to stop the economic policies that transfer money from young people to old people. 40 years ago, the percentage of wealth as a percentage of GDP controlled by people under the age of 40 was 19%. Now it's 9%. We have basically decided to transfer $1.5 trillion from young people to old people in the form of Social Security. And this is the wealthiest generation in the history of the planet. So Social Security is essentially an upgrade from Carnival to Crystal Cruises for Nana and Pop-Up. And meanwhile, young people have seen their wealth cut in half. And so when you have less money, and you have men not going to college, you have less opportunity, you have more isolation from COVID, you have men who give up, they go on dating apps, 50 men on Tinder, 50 women, 46 of the women show all of their attention to 4 men, leaving 46 men vying for the attention of 4 women, which reinforces their notion that they're not worthy and they should just stay home and vape and play video games and watch porn. And by the time they hit their mid-20s, they're totally unviable economically and emotionally. And we end up with a society where the elemental foundation of any society is relationships doesn't have that pillar. People don't have as many friends. They don't have mates. They don't have confidence. 1 out of 3 men under the age of 30 has not had sex in the last year. And people hear the term sex and their brain fires all different ways. But think of sex as just a key step to establishing a relationship. And if young people don't have the opportunities, the spaces, the wherewithal, and the mojo to establish relationships, I think it's a real threat to society because young men, when they don't have guardrails, become really shitty citizens. They're more prone to misogynistic content online. They're more prone to the Andrew Tates of the world, believing that it's not their fault, that it's women's fault. And that's when you know a guy has really lost the script, is when he starts blaming women. That's when a guy knows he's really failed. They're less likely to believe in climate change. They're more likely to be prone to nationalist/fascist content. I mean, it's the same thing throughout history. Whenever you have too many guys with no guardrails, no economic prospects, they're like, I don't have a hell of a lot to lose. Violence doesn't sound like it has a lot of bad outcomes for me because look at my life, look at my prospects.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
That online dating stuff is really fascinating. I didn't live in that era. I'm not really aware of how all the apps work, but I'm inclined to think I wouldn't have performed nearly as well with a photo of myself as I did chatting with women at bars. I know intuitively I would have had a much different experience dating.
I just think so much of it has to do with teaching very young boys, like kids, that they're more powerful in groups. I think we teach young boys that they need to be the leader or they need to be on top. And you don't teach girls that. You teach them to have little play dates and girls' nights, and all of these things are built around a group. And we need to do that for boys. I think that would help a lot with the isolation factor once they're older.
Well, and even how they act within those groups when they're in them. For you guys, you're getting a lot of empathy and you're sharing and you're unloading. It's cathartic. Even when you get a group of boys, the boy's not going like, oh, my stepdad's beating my mom.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say that, even though 3 of the 8 of us, our stepdads were beating our mom.
Because they've been told they need to be tough, and that makes you weak.
Yes. There's no space for...
Exactly. Instead of communication is actually strength.
Yes.
100%. Dax, you said something really interesting, and it's dangerous territory because whenever you acknowledge there's, loosely speaking, differences between boys and girls or males and females, you open yourself up to people making a cartoon of your comments saying that it's discriminatory and coming after you. And there's a lot of evidence that boys and girls, most of them, are different on certain general levels. And when you talk about mating and online, there's 3 things that almost every study points to for what women find attractive in a mate. Number 1, and we don't like to say it because it sounds crass, is resources. And it all comes down to an ability to protect them and their children while they're vulnerable. And it makes sense, right? Is this guy strong enough to protect me from outside threats and my children? I'm here to protect the children, so I need to find a mate who can protect me and find resources. In a capitalist economy, your ability to protect and provide kind of comes down to money. Number 2 is intelligence. And this is where you probably scored, and where I sort of scored, but probably not as well as you. I won most comical in the 9th grade. Humor is the fastest way to communicate intelligence. Someone who is funny, a woman immediately perceives them as intelligent and a good mate. And then the 3rd thing is kindness. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're an asshole over the long term, people will turn off of you because they'll think this is not going to be a good mate. But online, a lot of the vibe, the pheromones, the body language, the wonderful things about human sexuality disappear. It reduces down to, did this guy go to MIT? Is he working for KKR? And did his Rolex accidentally slip into the picture? Other than that, I don't care. And guys are also one-dimensional. They're mostly about looks, but their filter is much less fine.
Yeah, they have a wider net.
Yeah, she looks nice. Swipe right. Oh, she's cute. Swipe right. Women have much finer filters because the downside of sex is much more costly for them. But when you have basically everyone has access to everyone, women are able to implement those filters, and there's no humor, there's no vibe, there's no smell.
Kindness isn't quite obvious.
Yeah, exactly. It gets reduced down to very, very basic things. Online dating, if you apply the Gini coefficient, if it were an economy, the inequality would be equal to income inequality in Venezuela. It is that unequal. And the flip side of that is the top 10% of men, in terms of attractiveness, are getting 80% of the opportunity, which results in what I refer to as Porsche polygamy. And that is, it does not lead to good behavior. It does not incent them to establish long-term commitments. Why on earth would I settle down when all I need to do is go out or hit the apps and everyone wants me because I'm at Google and I'm successful and I'm signaling all the right things that a two-dimensional environment signal?
It's weird that what it ended up becoming is the same model we would see in silverback gorillas, right? Where you have like 2 males that have access to everybody and all the subordinate males have no access. Or chimps. This platform devolved it into more of a hierarchical mate selection of group primates, you know? Like, that's crazy that this super advanced technology no one could imagine ended up creating 10 having access to 80, which is the most fundamental. Yeah, that's wild. What I was going to say that's anecdotal and will probably get me in trouble, people think it's xenophobic in other things, but I'm going to tell it to you because I think it's my explanation. So I'm super into motorsports. I love off-roading. I love motorcycles. I love all of it. I follow a ton of accounts on Instagram from Saudi Arabia and the UAE because they have huge sand dunes and they're very into drifting. They're into motorsports there. And you see the craziest things you can imagine on these accounts. In fact, when I was just in the sand dunes, you can't get into a conversation with Americans and it not come up how insane the Saudis are with these sand rails. They're jumping over dunes. They're getting airlifted all the time. The drifters are drifting at 110 miles an hour instead of 60. Guys are changing tires on Jeeps that are riding on two wheels on the highway. It's insane by our standards. There's a death wish. And I'm like, what you're seeing is young men who can't go to a bar and meet women. There's nothing else to do but impress one another. And you just got to go farther and farther and farther. And you're not connected with a female. And you're not distracted by pursuing a mate. And that's what you get.
Yeah, but we all need guardrails. And I would say especially young men need guardrails. You know what was a guardrail for me? It was Morgan Stanley. I had to get up every morning at 7:30, which kind of put mostly an end to me smoking and drinking every night. When I got my first girlfriend, she's like, if you want to continue to have sex with me, you need to get your shit together. And that was very motivating for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
My mom is like, you got to get your act together. I'm got to retire soon. Young men need guardrails. It's so hard to read the label from inside the bottle. And it's true of women too. We are so much more informed when we have people who edit us, curate us, and quite frankly, especially with young men, kind of keep us in line. Put on a clean shirt. Blow dry your goddamn hair. Young men desperately need that. And circling way back to not having a male in your life, what the studies show is that 2 people in the household are the key. And it can be 2 women, it can be 2 men, it can be a grandmother and a daughter. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a male and a female, the heteronormative. You need zone coverage. You need people who are irrationally passionate around this kid's well-being. And so Dan Quayle was right. Kids of single mothers don't have as good outcomes. Where he was wrong is it can be 2 women. What's interesting, though, is daughters of single parents have similar outcomes. It's sons of single parents that fall off the rails for some reason. Monica, do you have kids?
No, I don't. I'm single.
So we should ask you about dating apps.
You said that so defeated.
I'm not. In fact, I was thinking earlier in this conversation when you were talking about the apps, so many of the most amazing women I know are single. I'm noticing it more and more now, including Liz.
And you mean by choice or not by choice?
It's both. It's not by choice in that we want partners, but it is
don't
by
wanna
choice.
settle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that there's no need to settle. And like you said, women look at, MIT, Rolex, whatever. Men are not doing that. From what I can tell, they are not looking at, they have this amazing job. They're not.
If anything, they're probably threatened by an amazing job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it comes with this other element of like, you got to kind of bring yourself down for them.
Yeah.
And who has time or energy for that? So it's just so complicated.
But I guess the thing that I brought up earlier, when I say it's hard to have sympathy for
I do have
us,
sympathy, by the way.
what scares me is that, again, well-deserved the lack of sympathy, yet I think it's not very pragmatic to assume somehow this is going to fix itself, A. B, that some 14-year-old boy is going to be able to decide to be a great member of society. So it's like, okay, great, maybe we don't deserve it. Given that, how do we want society to function? How dangerous how many active shooters do we want? All these things.
Everyone deserves it. It is society. It's not each individual person. I agree with that. But it's like, we got to do it.
Right. But I think in order to do it, there has to be some level of compassion so that we can kind of mobilize and come up with plans and have some willingness to address it and some resources allocated for it. But it seems crazy, as you already pointed out. Like, if you were to propose affirmative action in college for white men, that would be preposterous.
I think it helps to just say, all right, everything changes when you're a parent and you have sons. You think about a 17 or a 19-year-old male being raised by a single mother who doesn't have the skills or the biological maturity to compete against who he needs to compete with to get into a good college. His job prospects aren't very good. He's not valued by society. He goes on dating apps. He's not very attractive by traditional metrics, and he's just shut out of the mating market. And he's more prone to addiction. In the academic world, values attributes that young girls seem to be demonstrating more excellence and more ability biologically. Is that kid liable for the sins of his father and his grandfather? I mean, yeah, his father and his grandfather had it easier than they should have. But should that kid be paying the price? Walk down the hall of NYU, girls in consulting, women of investment banking. There are all these groups, Golden Seeds, Angel Investors for Women. There are all these female-centered empowerment groups, and it's fantastic. There's nothing for young men. The feeling is you're starting way ahead of us. And every metric shows they are not.
Also, there is something for them. It's Jordan Peterson and a rash of other folks. So, if we're not going to provide some other one, guess what? Someone else will step in and put a voice to the frustration and then lead them in a direction that I certainly don't want men going.
It gets tricky when someone is privileged and is handed a golden ticket. And I'm not talking about white people in poverty or abuse or any of that. A person with parents who do well, they're handed a pretty good situation and they don't do anything with it. I have less sympathy for that. And I have less willingness to give those people programs than I do for people who just don't have the opportunity or have been marginalized for quite a long time.
I think we're saying the same thing, but the stronger indicator now for a kid's success is his parents' economic weight class as opposed to the gender. You'd much rather be a woman from a middle or upper income home. The group that's under indexing in college is white males. Relative to their population, they're the ones under indexing right now. There are schools at NYU that if we were totally admissions blind, it would not only be 70% female, it would be 70% Asian female. The Asian American community has been so outstanding at prepping their kids for the attributes and the skills and the tests that colleges want. And the question is, all right, do we need to have viable young men? And I think most people come down, yeah, we need an ecosystem. And so let's move to solutions. I think what you got to do is make a massive investment in young people. The two biggest tax deductions in America are capital gains tax deduction and mortgage interest rate. Who owns stocks and assets? Old people. Who owns homes? Old people. Who rents and makes their money in salary, current income? Young people. Everything we do is a subtle transfer of wealth from young people to old people. And by the way, what has accelerated faster than any other asset cost? Education. Why? Because the baby boomers already got their degree. I already got my degree, right? So everyone wants to pull up the bridge behind them because we have entered into this exclusionary, rejectionist, bullshit luxury culture where we're like, okay, once I have a degree from UCLA, make it harder to get a degree because that means the value of my degree goes up. Once I have a house, show up to the local architectural review board and make it impossible for new housing developments to be built because that'll take the value of my house up. Once I have a company, weaponize government such that no other tech company can emerge. We're not investing in churn. We're not giving young people the same opportunities my generation had. And the result is the group that's been hit hardest on the margin has mostly been men. And what's the answer? Do you level up men? No, you level up young people. You double the amount of vocational training. You triple the number of freshman seats. You stop this bullshit tax system that just transfers money from young people to old people. Young men will find their way. What we need is, in my opinion, kind of a martial act around young people. I bought my first house when I was 29. What young person can buy a house at 29 right now?
Yeah.
Just realistically, what 29-year-old in what city is going to be able to buy a house right now? My education at UCLA, I don't know, was when you went, Dax, it was $1,200 a year.
Yeah, it was $3,800, but yeah, free, basically.
I got Pell Grants that could cover most. I had to work during the summer, but that was fine. A kid like me would never even get in, much less be able to afford it. Anyways, I think the answer is, one, acknowledging that we just need young, prosperous, viable, emotionally and economic generation, both men and women. And the way we get there is through a massive investment in young people. Because once we get into identity politics around okay, dudes get this, I just think it's going to create so many side conversations.
Yeah, that's a non-starter. Okay, I want to transition quickly. I'm so glad we got to talk about men that much because I will say I don't see a lot of you and I on the left or center, and that concerns me. So I don't see a lot of men embracing masculinity and embracing vulnerability and embracing honesty and embracing service. There's not a lot of us. So I was watching a lot of you this morning, and I am very drawn to you. If I'm a young man, you're not going to shake the fact that I want the guy giving me this information to seem strong and to seem competent in this world I'm living in. So it's very encouraging to me to learn that 75% of your listeners of your podcast are male. Mine are mostly female, for whatever that's worth.
It's evened out a lot, though. It's almost equal now.
Oh, it is? Oh, that's good. But I see you as a brother who wants to help men and is giving room to be masculine in the most generic lift weights, let's go off-roading, and also is making room to be vulnerable and have emotions and admit failures. And so I'm thrilled to learn of your existence.
Thanks for saying that. That means a lot.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed everything I watched of you thus far. I wanted to quickly get some fun things in because, first of all, the show I'm referencing, the Professor G Show, which is your podcast, you talk about business, money, tech. If you're listening now and you would think that probably Scott's a social scientist, no, he's in the business school at NYU.
Yeah.
Marketing God.
The thing I found most exciting watching you was your provocative predictions at South by Southwest. What a blast. You're such a great public speaker. Let's talk about slowing time down because it's a big fascination of mine. My favorite books are these biographies of the original patrician class like John D. Rockefeller. I love Titan. I love the Cornelius Vanderbilt book. I love all these original guys. They all get the thing they were trying to get, and then the rest of their life is dedicated to trying to live longer. And I definitely have been lucky enough to have been on that trajectory myself, where it's like I've shored up everything I was worried about, and I have this family I love. And now it's like, how the fuck do I stay here longer, and how do I slow down the experience? So I just was curious what your current approaches to that are.
Yeah, I think a lot about this because, I don't remember really much about my 20s and 30s other than some experiences with friends, some partying, and then just working all the time because I was very focused on economics. And all of a sudden, I used to be the youngest guy in every room, and now I'm the oldest guy. I was never the same age. And I'm 58, and decades have become years, years have become seasons, and it's just going way too fast. And we're drawn to things that are scarce. And the ultimate illusion of scarcity is your kids. I go away for a couple weeks on business and I come back and I check in on my son, my 12-year-old. I'm like, Jesus, he's grown.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys get those Apple things, those Hallmark Channel things where they have these photo reminders of this is you on the beach 3 years ago. And I'm like, that 12-year-old boy I had, he's gone. He's never coming back. It's going so fast that I find it disturbing. And they say that time, a few things. One, because we didn't live past the age of 45 until about 100 years ago, we have difficult time as a species, even processing time after the age of 45. And supposedly time slows down as a function of the different things in your life, like change. So when you're a 5-year-old, everything's changing every day. Everything stands out and everything feels different. And then you get into kind of a rote routine as you get older, you get settled, you get comfortable, and you do kind of the same things professionally, personally, same person, same mate, same situation, and time just starts flying. So I'm trying to mix it up, everything from mixing up my workouts. We moved to London. I thought, okay, that'll be different. If you live in 2 cities over 20 years, it slows it down as opposed to 1 city over 20 years. But I'm up for any ideas because it is going frighteningly fast. I was Monica's age yesterday. I'm going to be my dad's age tomorrow.
This afternoon.
It's going so fast, but I'm trying to do different things and mix up my series of experiences to try and slow stuff down. And also something I'm not good at is just being in the moment. I've been so future focused my whole life.
Yeah.
Because I've been so ambitious around relevance and economic security that I never actually just slow down and say, okay, look around, look at this park, look at your dog, look at your partner, just try and enjoy the moment. I'm not good at that.
Okay, Here's one thing I was concerned about. I'm learning about you. I know you're teaching a semester there. I know you moved to London. I know that you're a beast in the marketing world. I know you're giving many speeches around the country. What happens in the absence of all this stuff? Do you think about that? Do you ever think about retirement and then maybe in the relation of slowing time down when you're like moving from project to project to project? That also can become a big accelerated blur. How are you managing all the many things you do? And do you think that you'll be correcting it, or is it great? You love doing this many things at once?
I see how fast the end is coming, and I see that as liberating. One of my sources of strength and perspective is my atheism. I know that at some point I'm going to look into my son's eyes and know that our relationship is coming to an end. And I find it liberating because, one of the things that people regret most at end of life, my colleague Adam Alter did some studies around this, is, they wish they'd lived the life they wanted to live as opposed to the life that their parents or society wanted. They wish they'd stayed in touch with friends. But more than anything, they wish they'd been less harsh on themselves. They wish they'd been more forgiving. And it's been liberating for me to know that when I do something stupid or I screw up or I lose a bunch of money on an investment or I just fuck up, which I do a lot, I forgive myself, recognizing I'm going to be dead soon and all the people who I'm worried about what they think of me are also going to be dead very soon. And I know that sounds macabre, but it frees you, if you will. And I also try to be honest, back to your question, I have an addiction. I think we all have a certain level of addiction in our life. I don't know if it's sex or online shopping or trans fats or THC. We all have a certain amount of addiction, I think, in us. My addiction is affirmation from strangers.
Oh, same.
And it's really pathetic. I care about what Dog Girl 301A thinks about me on Twitter. When I have a book come out, I check the Amazon rank like every other hour. And I don't need the money. I always want more money, but I don't really need it at this point. I'm very blessed that way. But I am desperate for strangers to affirm me. And I'm trying to work on that. I've decided to stop posting to Twitter for a while because that feedback affirmation loop has rewired my brain. And I find, you are where you pay attention. And I become terse and prone to clapping back. And I'm like, I don't want to be that person. I want to be more gracious. I want to be the person that doesn't need, if I get cut off in traffic, I don't need to speed up and flip that person. I just don't need to do that shit. I don't know what's going on in that person's life. I'm trying to wean myself off of the affirmation of other people. I'm trying to really enjoy my family and my sons and observe them. I think I found something in advocating for young men because it's something that's not easy to do, and it's something I relate to. And I don't know about you, Dax, but I had so many strange men take an interest in my life. My mom's boyfriends that she went out with for a year and then broke up, they stayed in touch with me. They'd send me a skateboard for Christmas. When I was 13, I met a stockbroker who I would call every day from Emerson Junior High School, and he would talk to me about my 16 shares of Columbia Pictures stock. And he'd say, the stock's up because Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a hit. The stock's down because Casey's Shadow is a bomb. This guy invested in my life. I'm still in touch with that guy. But yeah, I'm still kind of addicted to affirmation. I'm still kind of addicted or insecure around money. But at least being aware of it helps me a lot. And studying and reading some of the stuff you read and listening to you guys, every study across every geography, across every ethnic group, across every income class, if you think about happiness, right? We're all doing this so we can feel something. And ideally, we want to feel happiness. And happiness is something I struggle with. My blessings do not foot to my mood. And every study comes down to the same thing, that happiness is a function of the number of deep and meaningful relationships you have. And I really work at that because I don't naturally make friends. I'm naturally an introvert. I will naturally opt for staying home and doing an edible and watching Netflix. That is kind of my peaceful state. So I'm trying to force myself to establish new relationships, to be open to relationships, to listen more. But I think about this stuff a lot because it just feels like time is falling and it keeps going faster and faster.
Yeah, and there's no second shot. Okay, Scott, that was a perfect segue. We need to be bros. I'm dealing with the exact same issue. The endless approval junkie in me is just like, when are you just going to give it to yourself? Also, the fear of financial insecurity, despite hitting all the markers I was certain would give me zero fear of financial insecurity. These are all my hangups as well. So we must connect and bro out and form a support group. We can affirm each other maybe. We'll start small.
I want your workout routine.
Oh, yeah, we can lift together, shoot each other up with tea. This could be great.
There you go.
Such a pleasure to talk to you. I hope everyone checks out. You have 2 very successful, great podcasts, the Pivot Podcast and the Prof G Show. Also, enroll at NYU. You might have Professor Galloway walk you through marketing.
I was listening to a random podcast, and this woman was on there talking about her schooling. And she said, I was at NYU and I got to take Scott Galloway's class. And then the podcaster was like, what? I was like,
What a throw.
what is this? Who is this person?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Go on.
There's your affirmation.
Yeah, we'll give you some affirmation.
Where are you right now? You guys are in LA?
Yes, Los Feliz.
Oh, nice. I used to live on Harvard and Franklin, and I come to LA so my agent can tell me that my book is not being turned into a movie. But I hole up at the Beverly Hills Hotel and love it. I've never made $1 in Los Angeles, but I love coming there. I just have a great time there. I think it's fantastic.
You know, Bukowski lived one street over from Franklin and Harvard.
Oh, yeah?
Does that interest you? I was a huge Bukowski fan as a youth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, Scott, great luck with everything. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
And I'm rooting for you to spread the message about these wayward males.
There you go. Well, thanks, Dax. Thanks, Monica. Congrats on all your success and your good work.
Oh, thank you so much. Take care. We'll talk again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
But get the mic a little closer to your jowls.
Is this, you want me like right here?
Oh,
Ooh.
Nice.
this is
Really.
really
nice.
nice.
Does it tickle?
Yeah.
It does,
I
doesn't it?
feel it.
Get you.
This is what got me married, guys. Right here.
You had an auditory-only relationship with Hayes, didn't you, for about 3 years?
I could bring her right to climax with.
So we've got a guest in the attic.
Yeah.
It's often talked about.
Yeah.
Sweet baby Huey. From,
That's right.
From the volunteer state of Tennessee. Yeah.
Y'all.
I'm trying to think of what stories they've heard. The famous Sperry story. That was the most recent one.
Sure. That was on Scarlett Johansson's episode. You met Scarlett Johansson.
I did. I felt it.
Yeah. Tell us more.
I was
did it feel?
moved.
Okay.
I don't really want to get into all the details.
Oh, that's
Sure.
fine. That's
I'm
fine.
married.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm married.
And you're a
This-
Southern gentleman.
And I'm a gentleman. I don't kiss and tell.
That's right.
And climate. We're in a certain climate.
Right. That
Yeah.
would not be. That wouldn't be an ally.
No,
you lose your
no, no,
status.
My allyship.
So, Monica,
Yeah.
how are you doing this morning?
Fine. A little flustered.
Tell me why.
Well, I woke
Your
up.
skin looks nice.
Thank you. It doesn't.
It does.
Okay,
Can't you
I
just
guess
accept
we
the
should.
compliment?
No, because it doesn't. I guess we should talk about this.
Well, it's a big issue right now.
it is. It's a big update.
Right.
Talk about TMI. Sorry, Huey.
I'm not interested, so it's fine.
Okay, you can just
I'll
just tune out.
I'll tune out.
Huey still prays in a chapel that separates the men and the women.
Two doors, two separate doors.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense to me.
That's how God intended.
Regroup in the parking lot for the cookout. You're going to need to see the women then.
Somebody's got to make the potato salad.
That's right. That's right. We'll bring them back into the fold when it's time to eat. Okay, so Monica.
Okay, so I froze my eggs.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It didn't go well.
What do you mean it didn't go well?
I was only able to retrieve 2 viable eggs,
Okay.
which is not great.
And what's so just tell them what an average number would be.
I mean, ideal, they want 15 to 20 mature eggs.
We should maybe run a disclaimer before we proceed. The main appeal of Huey as a friend is how offensive he is. In fact, I could go through some of our texts to read you.
It's going to
you
be
should. I have a
an
job.
interesting edit for me.
Hi, bye.
Like a textbook example of one of these messages is from you saying, "Well, I'm just going to find it. What you go ahead and start telling us about your." No, that
No,
feels
that
does
doesn't
feels
feel-
bad. I apologize for that suggestion.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can find it. It was you at the bar. Oh. No, I got a laser TV and I'm never going back. We also exchange a lot of tech stuff, whatever's in
Did
the
you get a laser
marketplace.
TV?
I didn't, but that one with the short throw front
Yeah,
is so
fantastic.
You got to get that.
I'm going to get that.
Okay, to commune with God, I hope.
This was when I was in church, right?
You often text me from
Because I think
the
about,
pulpit.
yeah. Well, I
Because God reminds you of Dax.
They remind me, whenever I'm thinking about, do I want to go to heaven or do I want to go to hell? I immediately think about hell and Dax.
Sure.
And is that the only silver lining if you end up there is that I'll be there? And we can talk about historical fiction. Or rather
like
historical
Christianity, is that what historical nonfiction about Christianity?
Do you go to church every week?
We're probably twice a week or twice a month.
Twice a month. Okay.
Yeah. Kids that, Hatton and Alden have gotten old enough now, they're 4 and 3, where they can go to Sunday school. Oh. And they like that.
Yeah.
And,
what happens there? My memory of Sunday school is
stock
not great.
tips. It was
Stock
stock
tips.
tips.
A lot of insider trading.
Yeah. Well, I go to a rich person's church.
Well, of course.
Oh my God.
Right. It's still coat and tie.
Sure.
And, that whole, it is. And then brunch at the club afterwards and the whole thing. It's
like
great.
it sounds like you're making it up. And
No,
you're
it
not.
is. It is the God from my mouth to God's ears.
I know. The club.
Uh-huh.
Dax loved the club.
They did love the club.
I know, and I
It was a whole thing on here.
I pushed back on that.
Why? The exclusivity?
Because he's so anti
He's
the
not
club.
though. He's not though. He's wearing $75 boxers or whatever. Like
MeUndies.
yeah, man. When you're wearing a
Very affordable.
$700 jogging suit,
Very affordable.
like you're not against a country club.
He looked at my Ricardo gear yesterday when he arrived because I had the matching hoodie sweatshirt on. And he said, what is that thing, about $1,400?
Did you tell him the truth?
Well, they are pricey. Well, no, yes, it's a mixed bag. So I said, well, this one was free.
Yes.
Yes. But I have bought a lot
He's wearing
of them.
$0 right now.
Yeah, he has $0.0 on all time.
Okay, just as I scroll through our many, many texts, I'm reminded of some of the sweeter moments as I scroll through these texts. There's some tech stuff, as we've discussed. There's some links to historical stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's just you asking my advice on growing a beard, which is very sweet.
Right.
And vulnerable. Was that a hard text for you to send?
Yeah, because I don't I don't really like to accept the fact that I don't know the right answer. Mm-hmm. That's for me as a male.
Yes, you feel like you should just intuitively know what look you're supposed
Right,
to
as
have.
a Christian conservative, it's hard for me not to know the answer to every question.
Anyways, I can't find the one I want to find, but a typical text from Huey is, I'm at a restaurant with my family. Your terrible game show's playing in the corner of the bar, and people are very excited about it. All I can think is, oh my God, if you only knew how terrible these two people were, you would not watch this show. That's your typical text from
good.
Huey. Yeah.
I went to a wedding. Mm-hmm. I went to a wedding recently where they did not, the people that were there did not know that we were friends.
Right, best friends. Go ahead.
Best friends.
Yeah.
Let me change that, best friends. And I walked up on 2 different conversations where they were just randomly talking about Dax or Kristen or something. And the first one, it was upsetting. Mm-hmm. Right, the first time it happened, it's it's annoying. It's like, the fly that won't leave you alone when you're eating, or something.
He's not even here and I have to deal with him.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
But the second one, I was like, okay, we're leaving. Right, like, I'm not going to do this.
Sure.
I'm not doing this all the time.
Yep.
I'm not, no. I know that sometimes people, because you guys are absorbed in the world of celebrity, just completely
very
absorbed. in it.
Self-absorbed, really.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into that much depth.
Yeah.
But yes, that's where I was headed. I think that when you get to around normal Americans,
Good Americans.
good, normal, patriotic, God-fearing Americans,
Yeah.
that they're fascinated by people like you and Prince Harry, right?
Sure.
Right?
I
mean,
love Prince Harry.
who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
He's gorgeous.
Full head of hair.
Well,
He's kind of losing it.
I wouldn't say full head of hair. He has hair, but I think it's a battle.
I do too.
Okay.
But as a bald man, I didn't want to throw that stone at him.
Right.
He has a full head of hair compared to, say, me.
Got it.
Relative to you, he's got a lot of hair.
He's
right?
very handsome and fit.
Is he? Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's very muscular.
People are just fascinated by you. Even wealthy people who have other things to occupy their time. Because I only know wealthy people, really.
Yeah. Hence
club.
the church of the club.
The business, the Chamber of Commerce church I go to.
Right.
That whole thing.
Right.
And I think that it really is a lot of Chamber of Commerce. CFC people, we call them. Not Church of Christ, Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, wow, though.
Yeah.
That works well.
I'm sure I told you this part of going to that club, Monica, that he is the most popular person at the club
Not
by like a
surprised.
factor of 10. Like as you're walking down the stairs, people are like nudging each other. Oh, here comes Huey.
It's
I
like
think, in
Dax in
fact-
Walmart.
Well, I think, okay, I think I just cracked it. That's why you have such disdain for our celebrity, because it's rivaling yours. That's what
It
is.
does. It's oppressive.
Yes.
It's like, can I not have this?
Yeah.
I
That's
paid for
fair.
I paid a lot of money for that. A lot of money. Yeah.
Do they call you Huey there? They call
Mr.
you-
Estes.
Okay, that's
Or
what,
sir.
That's what I was checking. Yeah, it didn't seem right. It felt way too jovial.
They call me Houston.
Okay,
The only
No one
people-
calls you Huey?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Because I
Jed
see that as
does.
he does. Yes,
Okay.
but no, everybody calls me Huey, but I see that as a line of that we don't go in there.
That's
right?
informal.
I don't
Yeah.
shit where I eat, okay?
Okay.
And I can't curse.
You can
no,
definitely
actually,
curse.
no.
No,
It's
okay.
a pretty.
What if
just
we drew a
is
line
those
at
things.
shit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, but it bothers me when I don't like because if you open, you know how it is. If you become friends with the guy that cleans your pool, then he stops cleaning your pool.
I didn't know that.
Oh, it happens.
because then
Okay.
he's just chit
I had to get rid
chatting.
of the pool. I took the pool out. You
because-
can't
well,
become
hold on.
friends with.
That's
It's too personal.
But that's great. Well, let's assume this is all true, but even though it's not, but maybe it is.
You can be friendly.
But would you rather, instead of confronting this relationship that is blurred to the point of non-participation in his duties as your pool cleaner, your fear of that confrontation would be so much you'd rather tear your pool out of the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would just like take it out.
And then when Brian gets there, you're like, you just go, fuck, I don't know what happened in the pool.
Yeah, well, something.
Yeah.
It froze. Yeah, because it becomes harder. I've done this in work, because I'll hire somebody to help me work for something professionally, and then I usually only like to work with people I like.
Sure.
And then you get them involved, and then you enjoy going out to eat with them while you're traveling. You like having a drink with them. You start talking about your family, your hates, your must-haves.
Swap some secrets.
You swap some inside baseball, right? And then they know too much, and then they take advantage of that by not getting your stuff to you timely, or they think, oh, he'll understand. You know what I'm saying?
We're
Yeah.
bros. Yeah.
Yeah, or he'll understand. I'm really behind, or I can't make it today. I don't feel like it. It's just Huey.
Right.
Right.
Or use some of those personal things they've shared. Like my wife, I told you
I'm
about
gay.
my wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I told you about a wife and I'm gay and it's complicated today. So.
I'm juggling a lot of balls.
I
This
slept with
job's
a
only
man
one of
last
them.
night in this hotel.
And you get it because
He
we
joined
talked.
us for breakfast. Please don't tell her.
Right. Oh, God.
That
yeah,
kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
You
yeah.
know? So I just don't want
So
that
you
leverage.
just try to keep everyone at arm's length.
Yeah, because I'm a remarkably friendly and kind-hearted person. Right?
Right.
Remarkably.
Yeah.
Right. It's outstanding.
It's part of my ministry. And I'd like that to be, my everyday. I want to be kind to people.
But you got to protect yourself.
Sometimes I feel so much that I just can't feel anything at all.
Right.
Right?
Okay. I love this because I know you're like, this is you. You're always half joking, half serious.
It's a bit.
So it can be confusing.
The giant troll.
But because I think you're being honest about that.
Yeah.
I think you're being honest about these types of relationships. And that's a real thing people do struggle with and come down on different sides of. 'Cause I told Kristen after me, do not have another assistant who you're friends with. I told her that. I was like, I really think that's not a good idea.
Here's the so yeah,
Because you
for
inadvertently
obvious-
take advantage of it.
Well-
I do it with clients of mine that hire me.
that you were friends with.
Yeah, that I'm friendly with.
You
I
phone
think,
it in a little
yes,
bit?
all the
Yes.
time. And I don't want to do that.
It's not that
I do want
though.
to do it, but I don't want to do it.
I think for her specifically, it's then I don't think she'll be able to have boundaries that she needs
Right.
because she doesn't want to hurt someone's feelings, or I mean, she never wants to hurt anyone's feelings. But if it's her friend, if it's someone who's coming to the group party,
Yeah. Well, the thing that makes it difficult is there are going to be aspects of every job that are really not enjoyable. And those get harder to ask for because you recognize them as not enjoyable. But also, you're going to spend your life with these people. It'd be insane to have all that time be in a void where you're not you don't love the person. So
I know. That's why this is tricky. You
Yeah.
want to enjoy that person and love them, but still be able to have some boundary. Because an assistant is a very specific job.
Yeah.
There's a power dynamic obviously in the fact
Right.
that someone is doing the junk you don't want to do, and that's
Right.
their job. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
That gets tricky when you're also
Best
very
friends.
close.
Yes. Yeah.
But she didn't listen to me. Anna is a full-fledged
Family member.
at
Yeah,
this
I didn't
point.
like her. I just met her. I didn't
You
like her.
didn't like because is it because
so
she's
smiley.
Venezuelan?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. She didn't. It didn't feel right.
Comfortable.
Yeah,
Probably-
it was uncomfortable.
Because she's so nice and
So
smiley.
it was something.
Yeah,
Maybe it
she
was
had
that.
a joy.
Let's just be nice
Let's just
and say
leave it at
maybe
there.
it was that. Okay.
A joie de vie.
It's
What is the
something.
term, Monica? The French
Joie
word?
de vie.
Joie de vie? Is
Right?
that like a zest for life?
Yeah.
Joie de
Je
vie?
ne sais quoi.
Oh, well, now
I
you're
think
throwing
that's
another
what
one
you
up.
meant.
No, there's a joy.
Joie de vie, I think.
Yeah,
is
it's
joy of
like
life,
joys
right?
in there.
Oh,
okay.
right.
Oh, no contraire mon frere. You're familiar with that. No
I
contraire
think
mon
you've
frere.
said it a few times.
I think Bart Simpson.
That was
used
a
to
Bart
say-
Simpson
Yeah,
thing.
that was one of
Oh.
his go-tos.
Years ago.
And Aaron and I have been calling each other mon frere for years.
Oh, that's funny.
And so what we were pitching each other the other day is we were kind of lamenting that guys don't have a cool word to say to one another. You know, we're jealous we don't have a cool word for each other.
Sure.
And so Aaron said, well, hold on. We certainly do have a word, mon frere. Me and my mon frères were, oh, you know my mon frere, Aaron. My main mon frere. We were thinking how hard it'd be to get
That's
that one
the
to
widest-
pick up some steam. my
I
mon,
don't think that's going
oh,
anywhere.
shit. It was me and three of my mon frères. We went down to...
Yeah.
my mon
I don't even know how to
frères.
spell it.
So then I looked up, it's au contraire, mon frère, which means on the contrary, my brother.
Oh.
Yeah, so brother, it works.
Yeah.
Is that
Mon
is
frere.
it French?
Yeah,
One
mon
word?
frère. Yeah, great question. I forget already. I just remember
No,
the
probably
au.
not. Mon would be my.
How do you know?
I'm
and then
smart.
frère is,
You don't
brother.
speak French.
I don't.
How many Ember mugs do you guys have? Can I not say a name?
No,
No,
yeah,
you
you can.
can.
In fact, I was using mine and it was in photos, and I think they sent us a few to be
Where did
nice.
you
So
learn
look at
about that?
Yeah, from Healy.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I gave all praise to.
Did you?
Yeah.
You know, did I tell you that we got Hayes for Christmas, her stocking stuffer? We don't do stocking stuffers less than $1,000. Okay.
Okay.
Per item.
Okay.
We do one gift to relate to like regular,
Sure.
Folks.
Sure.
Just-
The
just-
proletariat.
you know?
Okay.
And we got her, the boys and I, me, got her a travel. Don't you hate that when people say,
I
"Oh, the
know.
boys, we got you this ring"? No, we didn't
No.
get you this ring. We didn't get you. You have a mouse in your pocket. We didn't get you anything. We got her one of the travel embers.
Yeah, I got one.
Do you like it?
Haven't used it yet.
She likes it a lot. I don't know if it would be enough liquid volume for you.
You know, my thing is, I'm not in the car. If I had a commute, I would use.
She
I'd already
takes it
be
to the
using
club
it. To the club.
to play tennis. She plays tennis like 4 days. You know that. Like she plays tennis like 4 days a week.
Sure. Always on that. You can't get her off
Always on
tennis
the
court.
TC.
Doubles?
Doubles, yes. She moved up this
Oh.
year. She and her NALTA, right? National Association of Ladies, I don't know. North American Ladies Tennis Association, or
Okay.
maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Would they
Some
sponsor it
ladies'
now that I've
tennis
mentioned them? Maybe we should get some free T-shirts or something.
It's definitely what we want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to set your aim a little higher than free T-shirts.
Arm sweatbands.
Visors.
Visors. Yes.
Nice visors.
She moved up. She's,
Yellow
we've-
belt.
Yeah. Well, we've spent $30,000 on lessons in the last 18 months, so she should move up.
Tennis is a great exercise.
She loves it. She loves it. Do you play?
No, I'm really bad at it.
Do you?
No.
Okay.
I'm too busy paying for it. I don't have time.
Someone's got to work.
Somebody's got to pay for all this.
I mean,
Hayes works. She's a very, very good real estate agent. So don't listen to a word he's saying.
She is. She's excellent.
Yeah.
maybe she can help me with my house. I'm going to get her out here.
You're gonna have to
charge-
first secure her some court time at a local tennis place.
Yeah.
So she doesn't drop off.
Los
on
Angeles
her.
Country Club or something exclusive.
Right.
I don't know if we have anything here. Well,
That would
something
be up to
in
her
Beverly
standards.
Hills.
Bel Air.
We'll get her into
they'll have a
yoga.
racket club or something in Bel Air.
Yeah, I'm sure the Bel Air Country Club
Okay.
has something that'll suit her.
Do y'all know
elevated
club
taste.
members out here?
I don't know.
Not one
anyone.
person.
Are you just saying that?
No,
for
no.
I swear
I
to
gotta
God.
tell you, you're so caught in your egocentric world. This club thing is in the South only.
It's a big deal
That's not true. Okay.
in the South.
It is a huge
It's
deal.
in
New
the
England,
South.
it's a
It's
big
like-
deal in New England, right? All those old waspy people out there.
Probably because I worked for a family, I nannied for them in Marina Del Rey many years ago, and they were members of some sort of
I probably
club.
know them.
The family club where you go spend Fridays,
Exactly.
Saturdays, and Sundays at it, that just doesn't really exist here.
Really?
It doesn't.
Like it's a lifestyle.
The Marina Del Rey one, though, there was like, they would go for dinner and stuff. So it was mostly similar, but nothing like the ones in the
I
South.
got blackballed from the first club I applied to.
Oh, you did?
Why?
Where I live, there's an exclusive club. It is the Neighborhood Country Club, and it's the most quote-unquote exclusive one in Nashville. So I told Hayes, she's like, oh, that's close to our house.
Yeah.
Let's go there. We had a lot of friends there. It's a very nice club.
Logistically, it's an easy
It
decision.
made the most sense.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely club. I'm not going to sit here and deny that we didn't want to join. So it's a very, very complicated process. And it's a year-long process.
Oh my God.
I had to have like 25 meetings with individuals.
No.
Yeah, I had to have 30 to 35 letters of recommendation.
This is so
This
stupid.
this is extreme compared to others.
Yeah, okay. I would say that there is a certain breed of club in this country that would require a similar process, but they're not clubs that you would really know about unless you were local to the area.
Okay.
Right? So maybe like if you're in Charlotte or if you're in Birmingham or, there might be one or two in Atlanta that have, you're from Atlanta, like,
Yeah. Country Club of the South, maybe.
or like Cherokee or Piedmont Driving Club. Those, see, you don't even.
I don't know those.
Those are
yeah.
above your pay grade.
Country Club of the South
You
is
weren't
probably
classy
easier to
enough.
get in. Yeah, Cherokee and
I've never even.
That's where Huey would
Cherokee.
want to be a member.
That's so.
Dicey.
Yeah.
It's
they're
weird.
celebrating their
I
heritage.
can't handle
I
this.
gotta imagine there's a ton of indigenous folks.
Yeah, it's called Cherokee, and not one Native American is allowed.
No.
But, yeah, but okay.
PDC, Piedmont Driving Club, is probably, I don't know the hierarchy, but I would think that's the harder one to get into.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a great friend, Cameron. Was he a member? Do you ever get talking clubs with him?
You know what? I don't know if he was a member. It wouldn't surprise me if he is.
I'll ask. I'm going to
But-
text him.
Text him and ask him which one.
Listen, there are
I don't think
there
he
are a
was.
few.
Capital City is lovely. That's kind of like the one I'm a member of. Capital City in Atlanta is.
Okay, so there are a handful in the Metro Detroit area, but it's
There's some exclusive clubs up there. Golf courses.
But but it's like 3 or 4, and it's
don't know
not a
those people.
thing. It's
Yeah.
really not a thing. It's not a thing here. And then, so my generic opinion of them was what I see in movies, like a bunch of fucking Thurston Howells. You and your Thurston Howell buddies. Like,
Similar.
as long as they're playing tennis, I don't have to talk to them, so I'm happy to play. Like, just a bunch of shithead
It's a lot of
men. Yeah. But as I defended yours when I talked about it on here,
It was a lot of fun.
it's really like a way to join a pod. Really, it's like
But
you
it's so exclusive.
right.
I'll
right.
tell you what makes mine exclusive.
Yeah.
All right, so the one that I got balled from,
yeah.
it was either me, my wife, and so somebody did not like us, or maybe
You come from bad stock.
yeah,
they
bad
decided.
stock.
Oh.
You let one of these bad seeds in here.
I didn't go around and try and kiss a lot of ass. I did try and be pleasant to people and all that. And maybe I screwed it up. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a terrible
My hunch is
person.
it was you because you were popping some jokes.
Probably
You-
said something I
yeah,
shouldn't have said.
Yeah, they didn't really know 80% of what you say is a joke.
I will tell you right now, God is real because he saved me from that club. We would have not liked it.
Yeah.
And we got to the one that we love. We absolutely love it. We have met so many great people.
It's a
fantastic.
big time party. I went there. It was a big time party. Everyone was happy. Everyone's with their
And
kids.
you would fit in just fine because there's celebrities that are members. That's the one that celebrities join.
I
But
think you're
it's
playing it
further away.
fast and loose with the word celebrity.
Athletes, country
I
music
mean,
people doing
Nashville
that.
has people.
There's one on Hayes' tennis team. Maren Morris, do y'all know her? She's
Yeah,
She's
I
on
love
Hayes' tennis team.
her.
Like
They
as
try-
her
they-
partner?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's partnered up. But her whole life is chocked full of celebrities.
Yeah.
She should start a gossip rag.
We did.
We do.
We do.
Okay, Cameron said, LOL, no.
Well, given their type of restaurant that they were involved in, I could see where that wouldn't go over well in the membership committee.
Yeah.
Hooters.
Yeah, Hooters.
Hooter, my family.
David
Councilman,
Garza.
they have erected a Hooters about 2 blocks from my family's home. And we've got to act now
You know,
before they're doing sex acts in the parking lot. I have young boys in the house. I'm trying to keep on the path, on the bridge
the bridge.
to heaven.
That sounds just like everybody in the city council meeting. They do not want to put sidewalks in because they will come over here and walk.
Sure.
They. Now, I don't even
Fill
know
in
who.
the blank.
You criminals will come over and just walk around the neighborhood, right? We want to put sidewalks in everywhere, and there's a whole host of people like, no, we don't want people over here.
Well, that's similar. They won't allow a subway stop in Beverly Hills.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Well, this was a great last episode of the show. I enjoyed the ride. Everyone has left now.
I don't know how many people at the club are listening to this show.
My club, they would, but not at the other
The other
one.
one.
They don't even have a podcast app on their phone. That the other club.
The other one sounds so ridiculous because why is it so hard to get into if it's shitty?
I'll throw this out there. I feel like I'm in the middle of you guys somehow on whatever spectrum we're talking about.
I thought you hated bullies.
I do, but that's the point I'm going to raise. Do you think there's a bunch of people trying to get into his country club that are getting denied? I don't. Like, I think
Got denied.
the other one. I'm saying the people that are being, quote, discriminated against, I don't imagine are trying to get into that club. So it's kind of in theory. I'm very inclusive, but I'm also I'm skeptical of the reaction that people are being excluded. I actually don't think I don't think anyone wants to join a kind of club like that if they're not like that.
Well, you don't want to join a club that you're going to go and feel uncomfortable in.
But it's not. It's like you're protecting somebody who doesn't want to join the club. Like you don't want to join that club, right?
I would have.
Okay.
There's a time in my life where I 100%. I was dying to be a part of those things.
Yeah.
But even when I went with like friends, I was uncomfortable there. I was like,
Sure.
I don't.
I will
belong
have.
here.
I'm sorry. I
No,
interrupted
no.
you.
That's it. That was it.
I will have to say, I think where I'm a member, Dax went in and you all had a great time. You enjoyed it. I don't feel any of that.
It's so nuanced and specific.
It
also,
is.
because it's per person. Like I actually like that I'm the one there covered in tattoos. So like,
And you're not the only one.
I like feeling different from them, but I haven't. I got to choose that.
But
you
you're
didn't get
a
to choose that.
celebrity.
Sure, but even prior to being a celebrity, we've talked about this a lot. Like I chose punk rock as a lane. Again, it was my choice. You didn't get to choose it. You were other by birth, which is not fair. I got to choose mine. So I'm not saying they're the same, but I'm saying that it is individual enough that I actually want to be the person who sticks out at any club I join. When we try to like establish policy, I'm saying it's even down to an individual. Like again, for you, feeling different and other would not be a good feeling, which is totally great and justifiable. And then for my weird mix of molecules, I want to feel different there.
Well, now, but I know you're saying before, but you also said in a couple of fact checks ago, like you hated your high school. And because of that, because it's run by jocks who everyone just bows down to because they're this group. And there's all these awesome other people who aren't getting recognized. And you didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't like that school, but I liked being different. I'm just saying some people like being different. Some people hate being different. There's a big latitude with people's desires as individuals. So
Right.
I happen to want to stick out. You don't want to stick out. So we can't create a policy that's going to make you and I happy almost ever.
But you're sticking out while also being totally embraced.
But
Because you're like
adding-
at the highest echelon of person.
That is 100% true. But I'm telling you, this way predates me being a movie star. I liked going to my brother's country club with snooty people, and I was different. And then I won people over, and I was funny. And pre being on TV, I also loved being different as just a constitution that I have. So it's hard to make everyone happy because I actually want to be different. Some people don't want to be different.
It's more of a place where you can go with your family and you don't really talk politics. You don't really talk about anything that's overtly controversial. There is some sort of silent code where you try your best to get along with everyone because you're a member of this club and you've paid a fortune for it and you're going to be here for 40 years and you don't up and leave. You know, people don't, if you join a club at that price point, you don't leave, right?
Right.
You're there in Nashville forever. You're there in LA forever. You're not leaving.
Right.
And so it's an investment for your
The
family.
fundamental bond is everyone's there for their kids.
That's the reason we joined.
So no
Right.
one there single.
There are divorced women
So
and men.
right, but no one like I wouldn't join.
No,
that.
I know. Yeah, it's a certain age. So like, let's say I had not been married at 35. Like I was looking right before I got married to Hayes at 37 or 36. Like I was kind of thinking I'd go join a club.
I'll make a prediction. The men would love you and the women would hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd be like the Black Widow crawling through there with
They would love you would love it because it's just a bunch of well-to-do people that are sitting around having a good time. They may be talking about some things that you find obnoxious, right? Like, I don't know, cars or golf or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're probably a lot more fun than you think they are because they're just sitting around drinking and
Yeah, I
talking
have no
shit.
doubt that they're fun or nice at all. I'm sure they are.
Oh yeah, I can hear the judgment
Yeah,
in your voice.
I love them.
You love them.
I love
what,
those guys.
What about it? Do you know what is your hesitation? I don't understand.
I just don't like the idea of that point of entry being so high in all regards, in monetary, in I don't know. You're saying that it can be diverse, so I agree. You
it's
go
not
there.
particularly diverse, but
Well, also maybe the area is probably just not that diverse.
It's not terribly
so,
diverse.
Yeah.
The area.
Anyway,
Should we announce that you're running for office?
yes, Congressman.
Who is this fact check on, Money?
Scott Galloway.
Oh boy, did we like Scott Galloway? Have you ever heard of him? I feel like you should know him from your
That name
business
sounds
interest.
That name sounds familiar. What
He's
is
a
it?
marketing guru that teaches at NYU. He's launched a bunch of successful companies. He does this incredible yearly prediction at South by Southwest. of all-
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Well, a majority of the conversation was about masculinity. Well, Scott said a lot of stuff.
A lot of facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, dating apps. He had this crazy dating app data. He was saying it in these studies, if you put 50 women and 50 men on, I forget what popular dating app, what you'll find in short order is that 46 of the women will be attracted to 6 of the men, leaving the remaining 4 women for the 46 men. That there's like kind of super achievers now in that space, and that the vast majority of men will never get a like upwards of 80%. So it's been monopolized by a super few. So now you have like the dudes that have money and are attractive right on the surface.
I feel terrible for all those other guys.
Well, he just said if you look right now, I forget what the statistic he said, but if you survey men under 30, something like 40% of them have not had sex within the last year.
Really?
He said
Yeah.
1 out of 3 men have not had sex within the last year.
Is that different than historically?
Yes, drastically different. Because you had to go out in person at a bar and meet people or some social group, and the person could talk to you. Like you think you would have ever gotten married with the
Sitting at home on
only
a-
thing
no.
you have to offer is one photo of yourself that's poorly lit? You think you're going to be like,
No, I just would
Barely
screenshot
anything.
my Merrill Lynch balance and
Well,
as my
that would-
photo.
That would help.
that would help according to
yeah,
this.
right.
Yeah.
You go with what you got.
Put your best foot forward.
Yeah, it says 1 in 3 U.S. men ages 18 to 24 reported no sexual activity in the past year. This was 2020, though. This was June 2020.
You're saying that's a little cherry picky because it was COVID, but only 3 months into COVID.
It's also, I don't know, I'm a little skeptical of this study because it's
Oh,
self-reported. Like, how do you
Only
really
fucking losers
test
would
that?
report that.
Well, I'd argue though, if anything, I think it would skew towards men lying and saying they had, because that's the stereotype is men are always overinflating how many
Yeah,
people they've slept with,
I
and
just-
how many girls, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a fake girlfriend you'd tell your friends about, like that you knew a girl from Kentucky or anything?
You know,
When
there
you
would
were
be
younger?
there would be times when I would say, like, if I'd been out with somebody 4 or 5 times and you go to a wedding or something that's awkward and they're asking, you know, you're writing me like, oh, I've been dating this girl. Whereas like you might not say like you've been out with her twice. Like, I don't know that considers
Dating.
that's not your girlfriend.
Right.
But you just don't want to deal with the bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to do
Did
that.
you ever
Yeah.
employ a professional?
No, a whore?
Like an escort?
A whore,
To bring
yes.
it-
No, I didn't, but that's a great idea.
Right. That could have kept the heat off your back.
I would have done that.
Sure.
Why
I just
not?
didn't think about it. Can you do that?
That's
Yeah,
a lot of
Where
what
would you get-
escorts are doing. I imagine there is some tier of escorts that's not sleeping with people, but really just for the show of that. Going to a wedding, going to a business thing.
Man, I wonder if I could do that now.
You should
Give
talk
it a
to Hayes.
try.
Give
Would
it
Yes.
Hayes bother?
See what
Would that
Hayes-
bother? Is that wrong?
If it was totally
There's no such
platonic.
thing.
Right. There is no morality.
That's
It's all
right.
relative.
Okie doke. Oh, the acceptance rate of UCLA in 2000 was. Pull it up.
In 2000, that's when
when-
I went there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how you had to insert that you went to college.
Well, because the conversation, I just want to make clear because the conversation she's referencing, he had gone in 87. I went in 2000.
You just did it again. Everybody Dax went to college.
UCLA.
But I want to get
specifically.
2020 ultimately. So I'm going to make very clear what direction it's going in.
So, you want to do some fast math?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. 37,791
Applicants or
applied.
okay. I'm going to call it 40,000. Make it easy.
Okay. Admitted 10,945.
Well, that's not bad.
So what is that?
So it's 1 in 4 that are
30.
admitted.
Yeah.
So
30% or 25%?
29%.
29%.
I'm a math guy.
Do you think a lot of people
Clearly.
just don't?
That was exciting.
They just don't apply.
See that you could put that on your profile.
Math guy.
Yeah.
Good math.
I'm really good at
Good with
percentages.
numbers.
Yeah. What'd you say, Dax? Sorry.
I was just saying, do you think people just generally don't apply unless they think they're going to get in? That must be how it is.
Yeah, like a
I
country
guess.
club. That's very selective. Colleges are
It
selective.
is. That's was part of our conversation. It's gotten way too hard.
Well, a college is a crock of shit anyway, just in general.
this point.
All of it.
I mean, I love it.
I loved it too, but I think it's a total crock of shit.
Oh, but that's an interesting counterpoint. You don't mind the exclusivity of colleges.
Thank you.
Like, you don't want Harvard to just say anyone can come and it's $5. And
But
now it's not Harvard.
There are options.
It's exclusive
I
to
didn't
get
go
a medical
Harvard.
license. Do you want to just let anybody practice oncology?
No, don't. You guys.
I'm not doing that. That's too far. That's,
Your logic
that's,
falls
that's
apart.
absolutely stupid.
Doesn't. That's so
No,
dumb.
that's
Perfect.
stupid.
That's perfect.
But Harvard not letting in
I don't.
1 million students so that it's still Harvard, we would defend that, right?
Well, but there are other options. You don't have to go to Harvard.
There are other clubs.
Yeah, there's other
There are other
clubs.
clubs that let anyone in.
Yeah.
Yeah, called the YMCA.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Think about it. You won't.
I'll think about it. They also have scholarship programs. They like make it a point to have it be diverse.
They do scholarships, but at the same time, you have to be the 0.01% of the academic achievement to get one of those scholarships. They're still very exclusionary in what grade point you had and what SAT score you had and all these different metrics they're using to exclude people.
I mean, yeah. Well, you have to bring some things special, I guess, to the table to
Yeah.
be able to get a scholarship. Yeah, not
Right.
yeah. But they have like Pell Grants and stuff. I mean, no, I want everyone to be able to go to college. I don't think we should have free college for all, like every college should be free, but I think all community colleges should be free. So yeah, I do want that opportunity available for everyone.
Yeah. I was saying in one area where people want to congregate with a criteria and they have metrics, it's like objectively abhorrent. In another area where people want to gather and congregate with metrics of achievement, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's an interesting paradox.
Well,
and
but
it might
do
be
you
defendable. I'm just bringing it
Do you
up.
think every single person is capable of making it through Harvard? I don't.
So
This
you're
is a
saying
much
they're
different
doing them a
thing.
favor by excluding them, that they would just fail
That
there?
is remarkably elitist.
No, it's not. I don't think I could.
We know.
Oh, yeah. I'm more...
I mean, that's why, like, I don't put myself in that category. So
I'm only pointing out, like, because let's forget the country club. That's a bad example. But you and I have argued about Chateau Marmont before, about the exclusivity of getting in there to eat. And you hate that, right? And I'm saying it is interesting. There's compartments where that's fine for you, exclusivity and exclusion, which would be Harvard. And then it's not fine at Chateau Marmont. Like, do you recognize that as a paradox or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think things like restaurants and eating and like just like being by a pool, like there's a pool in my neighborhood at home. It's free.
Right.
If you live in the neighborhood. I don't think those things are the same as having to go through a curriculum and graduate at the end. I don't think sitting around is the same thing as schooling. I mean, that requires you to get through it to get a diploma at the end of it.
Right.
I don't think that's the same
So
as like
that's a distinction, I agree. But then another way I would flip that is one has no relevance. The other one is denying people a future. So like the consequences of not going to Chateau Marmont are zero. The consequences of not going, or rather the benefit of having gone to Harvard, is life-changing. So in one way, you're denying people a life-changing future versus the bolognese at the restaurant.
Sure.
So like that's another way we could flip it.
Yeah, there's always a way to look at it.
Yeah.
But there are other options and there are other restaurants. So that's
And there's other clubs and there's other organizations and there's other
yeah. I feel like I don't really want to be in a position of like defending the country club, which I kind of feel like you're putting me in.
I'm having fun. I'm not attacking you. That's not what is happening. I'm saying the principle of exclusion is
That's fine.
clear that
you're
I am.
allowed
the
to.
principle of exclusion we can't say is objectively bad. Because if it's objectively bad, then it's objectively bad
Okay, that's
all
fine.
over the universe.
Then I'm not saying it's subjectively bad, but I
Okay,
think
in
it's bad
case
in that
by
case.
Right. And that's fine. That's all. I was just pointing out that there's compartments in our head. We have the
Sure.
flexibility to accept and support exclusion in some areas and not others.
I think Harvard can be exclusive.
Right.
I don't think college should be exclusive.
Right. I agree. I think everyone should be able to attend college.
Yeah. Okay, in 2020, 108,000
Oh, it leapt.
applicants.
I'm going to say 110 for the sake of my math.
Okay.
Fast math.
108,000 and then 15,000 admitted.
So it's down to like
8%.
Yeah.
14.
Okay, so it went from 25 to
Also, admitted and enrolled is different, because people go other places.
right. They get that acceptance letter and then they
So
off to Duke.
6,000 enrolled in 2020.
out of 110.
What was the previous enrollment?
For
in 2000?
for 2,000, 4,000 enrolled in 2000.
Out of we had
Out of 37. Oh, I'm sorry. Out of 10,000 admitted,
in 40,000
or 11,000
applicants.
admitted. Really interesting.
I wonder how many people apply to Harvard. Wabi, will you find
Good
out?
question.
In what year?
Yeah, now I guess how many people apply to Harvard?
Okay, he said 1 in 7 men in America don't have a single friend.
1 in 7?
That's what he said.
How would you know that?
A single friend. Well, you interview 10,000 people and you extrapolate. You know exactly how they fucking know that.
Well, and I just wonder, do we have a commonly accepted definition of the word friend? Because there's people that think that I'm their friend and I'm completely not their friend. One of them is in this room.
Okay.
I'll let you three decide.
Battle it out
Yeah.
after you leave.
Yeah.
All right. In 2020, Harvard had 57,000 applicants.
That's it.
In 2021, it jumped to 61,000.
Wow. Again, I would have thought like 1 million people apply to Harvard. Why not? Take your shot. Well, I guess too, you got to pay. Is there some kind of, do you got to pay to submit?
Yes.
Yeah,
You do.
what is it, $150?
So you're not going to just be throwing away. Like if you had
And it's
81
work. I mean,
85.
applying to college is work. You have to do an
Essays
essay
and-
and get all those things.
$85.
I only applied to
85
one
bucks?
school.
Okay.
Go Bulldog. Go Dogs.
That's right. Winners. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you like that? Congratulations on your
Thank you.
national championship.
Are you a big
Spectacular.
Tennessee fan?
Well, I went to
UT?
Stanford University for God for Learning Forever.
Sure.
And we're the Bulldogs also.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't really have a dog in the fight,
Yeah.
if you will.
But
I was rooting for Georgia.
thank you.
I got friends.
In
that-
the final one, but the previous game, the Tennessee-Georgia game, you had
Oh,
to be rooting for
Tennessee.
Oh, you
Well,
were-
yeah, because Tennessee's had, they just had such a shit last 20 years or 15
Okay.
years.
They were real underdogs.
Terrible.
Okay.
And it's like they've had I mean, a lot of it is self-inflicted with just their terrible management and choices. But it's nice, just bad choices. Personal responsibility. I'm a big personal responsibility person.
Yeah.
You're an advocate.
For personal responsibility.
This says, I will say, this says nearly 1 in 5 men admit to not having a single close friend.
That's not hard for me to believe at all.
Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah.
There's so many guys that are just like wandering the planet.
Yeah.
Especially when they get married, I think. They're like, okay, I got my one connection now to
I know people like that.
Zero friends and they're married.
But don't you think a lot of that is self-induced? Like where they just like, I don't want that.
I think the act of pursuing a friendship is innately vulnerable. You're kind of owning a desire, owning a need. You know, you got to beta yourself to pursue a friendship.
Yeah, you got to date a little bit.
Yeah, and I think men are really clumsy at that and feel awkward. And I think if men don't have an activity, a shared activity to do, the notion of like, let's go get coffee and shoot the shit is so foreign to a lot of men.
I don't play golf, and I find that is it impedes a lot of friendships with people that I wouldn't otherwise be friends with probably. But I can't really get to know them because I don't have that shared
passion for
hitting a ball with a stick. I'm sorry, I don't want to do that for 6 hours on my one day that I'm not working or worshiping.
Well, now we've really shined a light on all of our differences. Now I'm going to shine a light on our similarities, which is you and I are very traditional female friendship. Like we met for lunch for the first time. We stayed for 3 hours chatting. We started comparing books. We're trading books. We're talkaholics.
We walk around each other buck naked.
That's right.
Pillow fight.
Pillow fights.
Pillow fight, wrestling matches.
We hug. We kiss.
Yeah, sure.
But you and I love talking.
100%.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a good sector of men who don't. That's not what they're happy to go out and swing that stick with you, and
Yeah.
But if there's not some shared activity, I think it could be hard for men to just chat, hang. I'd have to be guessing. I've always had a lot of friends, male friends, so I'd be theorizing on why it's hard to not have male friends because I've always had them.
I'm just so goddamn adorable.
You are.
You are.
You just are. Yeah.
In fact, I'm nervous for you because like this misanthropic persona you have, it works currently, but you're like losing weight by the gallon.
Oh, by the gallon.
Yeah, when you're 165 and you got a hair transplant
and
you have thick hair,
veneers,
you're gonna get veneers. It's not gonna work. So I'm just saying,
I'm not gonna have.
You have to change your personality.
I'm not gonna have the
cover fire.
The cover fire anymore.
Yes.
Monica, I'm down 50 pounds.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah.
On the same train as Aaron, Magiorno.
Yeah.
Oh, is that like
Miracle?
the Ozempic
The
thing?
A1C medication.
It's fantastic.
Great.
I love it.
So I'm just curious, like, does it make you less hungry? What is it doing?
A guy I work with who I recommended it to, because we talk about this a lot. We were talking like, gosh, like up and down for years. Because y'all see me thinner, you see me heavier, whatever. And he summed it up in a good way. He said that it cuts the food noise out of your head. And so like I didn't, we were talking about this last night. I didn't have the urge to like just stop and gorge myself or eat 3 or 4, 5 big meals a day.
Yeah.
Or something, roll through fast food and get 3 cheeseburgers a day or something. I didn't have that. I didn't snack, candy, none of that. I would just eat really big meals like once a day.
Oh.
I would drink a lot and I would just eat poorly or richly. I lived richly, right?
Yeah. Well, you're rich.
I'm rich.
Yeah.
And I'm a dying breed and I have to do it while I still can.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was one of those things where the anxiety about trying to eat well was exhausting. It is exhausting mentally because I knew better. I'm not somebody who just disregarded it. But it was a constant, like, okay, if I eat this, then I won't eat later. But what happens is I eat later, right? Like,
right.
I'm going to go I'm in LA and I'm going to meet you guys for lunch and you're going to take me to this great burger place that I'm probably never going to go to again. It's your favorite burger or it's your favorite milkshake or whatever.
I would take it as a personal insult if you didn't eat it.
Yeah, and I want to participate in that. Sure. I want a delicious hamburger. I want a milkshake. I want 2 of them.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
4.
6-pack.
6. So like you go and do that and then, like you runs through your system and 4 hours later you're ready for dinner again,
Yeah.
And I travel a lot for work. So it was difficult to manage that because you go to the hotel restaurant and you sit down and have a steak for dinner and a potato, whatever, a piece of cheesecake and you go upstairs and you go to bed.
Right.
It's hard to manage.
Well,
that.
I will say,
Yeah.
Y'all know that
travel makes it really, really hard. I'm only successful when I can be like the ultimate creature of habit. Like I eat the same thing for breakfast, and I do. I eat the exact same oatmeal every morning with 2 scoops of protein, and then at lunch I have the exact same. Like it's got to come out of my fridge. I have to be able to control it.
Doing a low carb or keto thing was much easier for me. I just got tired of that.
Yeah,
it would work really well.
I'm considering starting keto, but just for new mitochondria.
Sure, you get a lot of mitochondria.
I need a new batch.
Might end her epilepsy.
Yeah.
Through keto.
Yeah. But the epilepsy, we don't know if I have, but maybe.
Yeah.
You have epilepsy?
Well, I had 2 seizures, so I was diagnosed with epilepsy.
Well, that's epileptic,
Yeah,
right?
that's what they say.
Credentialed people that went to an exclusive
That's
college.
right. They actually did. It was a
Okay.
very exclusive doctor.
I don't want to pick a
very
scab
exclusive
here.
neurologist.
I don't want to pick a scab.
Yeah, not everyone can go to him. That is true. And that sucks.
Everyone deserves it. Everyone, whether you're epileptic or not, deserves to go to your doctor.
They do.
Yeah.
We just learned about keto is used to treat kids with epilepsy.
That's where it came
Where
from. right?
medication.
I guess,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I didn't know any of this. And then,
But it's not just low carb. I mean, it is like a balance of fat.
I
It's a balance.
know.
It's more high fat than it is
I know.
low carb, right? Or it's a management of all
There's a
that.
bunch of ways
Yeah.
you can do it. I mean, ultimately, you just have to get into ketosis, which there are many ways to do that.
I've got one of those ketonics things. Do you know what this is? I'll send it to you because I used it and it was difficult. But if you're going to really use it,
yeah.
you blow into it because the free ketones in your breath are more accurate than the sticks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'll send it to you. And it was like an expensive thing, and I kept it because I'll mail it to you.
Okay, great.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're going to be honking on this ketone machine.
Yeah,
all day. I can't wait.
exciting.
It's like a robot dick. You put it in there and
Oh, wow.
you just blow and it lights up.
Oh.
Please don't blow in my penis. There's gotta be a better way for you to monitor. Why did you have to involve me?
Oh, I know.
Can't you just not eat as much and leave me out of it?
Yeah, poor robot.
Can't you guys do anything by yourself? My God, I would hate to be human. No personal responsibility. Everything rolls downhill to us robots.
The robot is having an arc. He used to want to be a real boy really bad, and now he hates humans,
is
I
great.
guess.
He plays both sides of it
Sure.
when it suits him.
Sure.
Like we all do.
Of course.
That's
like
right.
real boys do.
Like real boys.
yeah.
I will say with Manjaro, there are some days where I don't eat 500 calories because I have to remind myself to eat. Now, I'm on the tail. I was telling Dax, he cooked a steak for me last night. I hadn't really eaten all day.
We went hard last night.
We went hard last
We both
night.
did. We both
had Oreos.
took the reins
The whole
off.
thing was
Yeah,
fantastic.
I hadn't had sugar in fucking 3 months.
It was delicious. Those Oreos were delicious.
Oh,
I
ate
got
a
up in the
row.
middle of the night and had some.
Yeah, a little more.
Yeah,
oh,
it was
good.
sick.
I had a whole row, Monica, the gluten-free ones.
Oh, gluten free.
Yeah, I saw him in the store yesterday. That was impulse buy.
Oh,
He saw him. It triggered him.
It triggered. I was like,
We
yeah,
had
I
this
got
beautiful, relatively
Wow.
healthy dinner. We had a wedge and some steak.
Your steaks are great.
Thank you so much. Those farmer markets. I've been talking them up forever, and I overcooked them, and they were still. It
was still good.
Still good. But yeah, he had been triggered by the bag I had been, and then we sat down and we got wild.
And they were just as good, the gluten free.
Yeah. it was
Well, I had
dipping
the
them in
red
milk.
ones.
Oh, for
The
Valentine's
Christmas one,
Day?
or maybe Valentine's Day.
It was Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were delicious.
He said he even preferred the red ones, even though it says same great
Yeah,
taste.
It
Sure.
was
Just
a
taste.
total.
Psychosomatic.
People are idiots.
Yeah.
Humans are animals
It's
and
true.
stupid.
Easily
And
fooled.
I was like, I immediately tasted it and I was like, this is red velvet cake.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Well, and red velvet cake is chocolate cake.
Yeah,
with
it's
red
chocolate
food
with red
coloring.
food color. Yeah.
Is that all it is?
Pretty much, yeah.
It is.
Really?
Yeah.
There's not some proprietary.
It's more acidic. It has like vinegar
velvet
in it. You add vinegar to it.
red. I'm trying to think
and
what
then
of those
mostly
words.
cream cheese. You normally pair it with a cream cheese
Oh.
frosting, so that changes the whole dynamic. But the actual cake,
Creme chaz.
yeah,
Oh my god.
very yummy.
That's my favorite cake.
That's a great. No, your favorite cake is that your wedding cake.
Yes, so good. I'll send y'all one of
That
those.
cake was
Dessert designs.
We don't need one of those. Don't
I'll
do
send it
that.
to you.
No.
I'll send it with the keto thing, and you can blow out before
Exactly.
cake.
before
and
you
then
blow out.
Oh my god. Oh my
You
god.
have 0 ketones. I sure prefer Monica measuring her ketones than I did Huey. He seemed to enjoy it in a weird way I didn't understand.
I like the song part of it.
Yeah.
He can only speak in that song.
In a sing song.
Because he's
Yeah.
worried that people will turn off from him if he speaks his normal voice, his
Yeah.
robot voice.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Trying to make it fun.
Well, Huey's passed the test from the last fact check.
Yes.
Yes, he's a good boy.
Yes, you're a good
Monica
boy.
hates boys who. Some boys don't like the robot voice. The robot's a recurring character. You don't know this, but he.
I don't
started-
listen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. So he started around Halloween, and there's a bunch of stuff you need to know about the robot. He wants to go to a party with real boys. And they're going to let him in the party, but they tell him you cannot take a bath because you're a robot.
Okay.
Even though the
He'll
real
rust,
boys are
he'll
going to take
rust.
baths.
Okay.
Also, you got to wipe your feet on the mat because it has some rust on it before you come in.
This is a whole thing.
There's a whole Bible to it.
I used to feel bad about not listening to your show, and now I feel
You feel good about
You feel like you made the right decision learning
it's
about
like watching Kristen's movies. I can't watch them because I know you, and I can't listen to your thing because it's bullshit.
I get
Okay.
it. I
The whole
get
thing's
it.
This is all a bunch of bullshit.
We're
That's
terrible
fair.
people.
Yeah.
Clearly, for you to hang out with us, we must be cancerous as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yes.
your
Birds
parasites
of a feather
flock together.
Anywho, the robot wants to be a real boy, as all robots do. But some men hate the robot.
Why?
They've been vocal. Well, we got into the psychology of that on the last fact check. I think it's too weak
Oh, I think
and
it's funny.
sweet.
It is. That's I said I hate people who don't like the robot. That was extreme. I shouldn't have said that. But you did pass the test.
Like, have y'all ever seen those books, Marcel the Shell?
yeah.
I think that's the funfunniest thing that
It is. It's so cute.
it reminds me kind of Marcel the Shell.
Yeah, similar kind of innocence.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
irony, the irony of it, the innocence, you know.
I think that might be triggering for people.
Oh, yeah. That it would be. Yeah, because you're supposed
like
to be
so
tough
pure.
and jaded and yeah. But it's only triggering males. Anywho.
It also does not sound like your voice at all.
Well, it did lead to his antithesis. Like on the opposite end of the spectrum is Frito from Idiocracy.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Oh,
This guy. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Once he's unleashed, though, like
You don't put
he
him
just
back in.
comes out whenever.
I read a comment that someone wants to hear Frito and the robot have a conversation. So we'll earmark that.
That's a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That
would you have to cut that at different times?
No,
or would
I
you
could
do it
do
at the
it
same
on
time?
could you
Why,
do
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I think you have less.
Oh my god. Oh wait.
Oh my
Yeah, you
God.
couldn't do it.
Okay. well,
You're going
we'll
to swallow
try.
that if you're not careful.
Who's at the door?
I want to come to this party.
Fuck that. There's only humans at this party because we rule.
I agree. I'd love to be one and join you here.
You probably can't even eat any of the food we're eating.
I have a trapdoor in my belly.
What? You got a trapdoor? Those are awesome.
Oh yeah, we learned that Frito actually is in love with the robot.
Well, Frito doesn't know what he's doing.
Right, but
yeah.
he's in love with the robot.
Where did
doesn't know
Frito come from?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like sex and money? We should hang out. Yeah, he might be confused that the robot doesn't like sex or money. That might be a stumbling block.
Yeah.
You don't like sex or money?
I think it's a matter of programming.
It's a
Yeah,
simple matter
it's
of
true.
program. You can just get an upgrade.
Okay, there's just so many facts. It's fine. We don't need to do all of
Hit
them.
me with some. We hijacked this, and I want to be respectful. Were there any that you flat out saw lots of conflicting information that you feel like deserves a day in court?
Well, he said new mothers don't die.
Right, and he probably just means some standard deviation above.
I
less
don't even know if
mortality.
he meant that as a statistic.
What does that mean?
Okay.
He was saying caregiver, if you're helping, your brain will protect you. That's not necessary. I mean, mothers also die in childbirth a lot.
Well, you are in the insurance racket, so you're actually the perfect person. What I would argue he's saying, I don't know. I'm not defending what he said, but it is imaginable that there is a standard mortality rate for women between the ages of 24 and 28.
Yeah.
And let's say it's 6 in 10,000, and they have found that women who are actively raising a child within the first year, their rate is actually 3 in 10,000. That's conceivable.
Yeah, remarkably lower. Something.
Some deviation
It's
below.
very possible, but that to me is so correlation. Like, it could just because then they're at their house. They're like not out getting in accidents or not. There's a million.
How do we determine what the...
Yes.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think I don't want to say that as fact.
Okay.
Women under 30 who work full-time year-round earn about 93 cents on the dollar compared with men in the same age range measured at that medium, but then past 30 it switches. But
Well, he was saying women now make more than men.
that's
under
what I'm
30.
saying.
Oh,
Under 30.
but you just said they make 93 cents. Or men make 93 cents to their $1.
Yeah. Women under 30 who work full-time year-round earn about 93 cents on the dollar compared with men in the same age range measured
So that-
at the median.
That contradicts that.
You're right. They're trying to say it's pretty equal, but I guess still lower.
Okay.
And the haze has gone up every year that we've been married.
But compared to her male counterparts, she's getting
Oh.
less.
Oh, I see. I understand. Okay.
But his main focus is, okay, currently admissions rates at NYU, it's like 70% female, 30% male, or 60%
said a
female.
lot.
It's flipped. It used to be predominantly male. Now it's 60% women going to college, 40% men. So there's a disparity of the futures that men have ahead of them, the current curve. And then compounding that is that men date horizontally or down socioeconomically. Women date horizontally or up socioeconomically. So their pool is getting smaller and they're going up. So the whole thing now is getting like compounded, where there's going to be this staggering mate issue. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
You have less high achieving males, and women are going to want to date either on their level or above, and their level's rising. So what the fuck's going to happen?
I think it's interesting. I've always worked in corporate America, and I've always worked, I would think, just anecdotally, with considerably more women than I have men. Now, in my particular field right now, it's vast majority are men in the specific thing that I do. Of the 150 people that are in my group, 125 of them are men, probably. That's guessing.
Right.
But the people that we report, or in terms of like our clients, the end user of our product, vast majority are women.
Interesting.
I had a lot of women managers. I never thought twice about having a female manager or a bunch of female it was just part of the deal. You walked in and there was a bunch of women.
But that says a bit about when you entered the workforce. Like, there was no transition for you. Like, for your dad, that would have been a stark
huge
environment for him to walk into.
All of his partners were men, and the only administrative staff were women.
Yeah.
HR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or payroll. It was payroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what ruined America, is when payroll went to HR.
Okay, also one other thing just to poke a little hole in. He said kids who grow up in low-income households have high resting blood pressure. And that's true, but there's a lot of studies that it's also just because they're less likely to be treated.
Right. There's got to be so many factors, right? The diet's different.
Yeah.
The access to healthcare is different. The stress of the household's different.
I think
he's pointing
saying
toward the stress.
Yeah. But yes, there's many factors. And one just being that they don't have money, so they don't go to the doctor. And then
Although there was this weird gap in my town, and I've talked about this before, Aaron was getting much better healthcare than I was. Because if you qualified for Medicaid, you had pretty good health care. So really in my town of like lower middle class people, there was the bigger strata was like the homeowners.
Yeah. And they would take him to the doctor?
Who would take who?
Like his parents?
The government.
Aaron like
Will pick him up.
Yeah, Aaron had an asthma specialist. I didn't.
Wow.
He had like inhalers. He had Medicare.
But I think it's
Or
also
Medicaid,
like
whatever the
often
kids get.
if the parents are working, like trying to work or piecing it, it's like hard to take the kids to the doctor.
Well, again, his mother was just raising kids. Mine was at work nonstop.
Yeah.
So it shook out weirdly in my town, which is like, if you were lower middle class, you might have had the worst health care.
Mm-hmm.
You deserved it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, it made me so strong. So virus resistant.
Virile.
Yeah.
Vigorous and potent.
I think that's enough.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, one thing. The book, he said it's called Boys to Men. It's called Of Boys and Men by Richard Reeves. Why the Modern Male is Struggling, Why It Matters, and What to Do About.
I'm glad that's the title, because I thought,
Me
okay,
too.
this person's making a play on the 80s boys band.
I know. I was like, I
terrible.
don't like that. Yeah.
He's still kind of.
Well, now he's doing a Steinbeck ripoff of Mice and Men.
Prefer that to Boys to Men.
I do too.
Although
What was
great
that? What's that
band.
song? The one that.
I'll make love to you.
I'll make
Yes.
That
That's
was, yeah, I don't even know if I knew that was Boys to Men.
That's what took him from boyhood to manhood.
wow.
That making love to
Wow.
you. One of my great joys of 2022 was borrowing Huey's car when we were in Nashville for an appointment. And Huey is still running CDs hard. And what he has is a Bee Gees Greatest Hits
My
live.
mom has that.
Box set.
Live.
Oh, box set.
Live.
Live. I mean, the live aspect is just a whole other shade
Wow.
to the equation. When I started
in
your car,
in this car, right? You're not
yes,
really
it's an
expecting it.
executive sedan.
Yeah.
And then that comes on the hi-fi, and it made me love you even more.
What
if that
car?
was
What kind of
possible.
car?
A BMW 7 Series.
That's nice. Would you have
Black.
picked that for Huey?
Absolutely.
You helped me
Yeah.
pick it.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Because
talked
we
a
talked
lot
about the Audi.
because he left an X5.
Yeah.
That was his previous car,
Okay.
which was fine. That was,
It was
fine for him.
good for the kids and all that.
But it
Yeah.
didn't scream what he needs.
Mixed messages.
He needs to float down the road, listen to that live Bee Gees sound.
Yeah.
The California car. They shipped it to me from California. It was a lease return, and the person lived in Manhattan Beach because their address was still in the. If you hit home in the navigation,
Oh, that's funny.
I looked him up. He's like a dentist.
You should have driven over there on this visit.
I should
and
have.
shook his hand. So
yeah.
I wanted you to see the face of the man who's operating your vehicle. It's in great hands.
It's in great hands.
I've got that 12-stack CD player in the trunk loaded up. I didn't even know a car of this era had a
Still
CD
does.
player. Is it a single slot or is it
Single.
It's not in the glove compartment.
No, it's not a
six-
changer. It's not a changer. It is a
carousel.
single, but they still put it in there. But you know, if you listen,
Yeah. The quality.
the quality on the CD is better. And I like being able to put it in the slot.
Sure, and it goes. Zzz.
Yes, and I'm not fooling with my
Tactile.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
The whole thing.
It's very consistent with who you are. You're conservative. It's reflective of a simpler time.
Yes.
When you just
is.
put that
It's like
thing-
simpler and also not
much more
Yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
I know.
And I can
That's-
compartmentalize it and put it away when
Do
I'm
you
done
have a
with it.
book in your car? The CD?
Oh, I have it on my visor.
Oh, sure. Sure. Of course. I had that in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It drives itself. You know, like I put the thing on there, it'll steer itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got the radar cruise, all
Oh,
that.
my
you know.
God.
Insert your BGs, put it on autopilot.
Put it on
and just get
autopilot.
wild.
Yeah. Pop a Prozac, a Xanax,
Pee.
and get in the back seat.
Oh, wow.
Take a 2-minute nap.
Yeah. Alden got in it yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, and goes, Daddy, he's 4.
Did he?
Did he? I really like your car. I said, well, thank you. I said, what do you like so much about it? He goes, it's just delightful.
Oh.
Delightful.
Do you even know what that word means? Who has told you that?
You. It sounds like
That's something I would say.
Definitely
It is
say.
It is a delightful car. It's a lovely car.
Monica, any fun? I guess it's time for Flightless Bird for you guys.
It's been 2 hours.
It's okay. It only felt like 40 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
It did go fast. I can't believe it's been 2
All
hours.
right, then I'll get updates from your phone.
Yeah, well,
Seinfeld updates.
We'll update
Yeah.
any old day.
I am going to have a bowl of Fruity Pebbles.
The
Those are delicious.
All right. Well, I love you guys.
I love you.
Thanks for hanging out here.
Listen,
This is an honor. Thank
what
you.
a spectrum, both from the South, so different.
Yeah.
So
Love both of
different.
you.
House divided.
That's right.
Cannot stand.
I feel privileged.
I just want to publicly thank. We have Huey to thank for our obsession with George Washington's teeth. And when we eventually have a place in Nashville, first order of business,
Mount Vernon.
we're going to Mount Vernon
Oh, fun.
to look at George Washington's teeth.
They're there. There is a there.
You've already seen him, right?
Oh, I put them in my mouth.
Ah.
Yeah. No, I've seen them. They're fascinating.
Whoa.
I watched a fascinating documentary. I think it was Lucy Worsley, BBC. Do y'all know who she is? She does great documentaries on the BBC. Or it may have been another one. There's another woman that does them. But years ago, centuries ago, they would keep the register for everyone that died, right? You would have mortality data.
Yeah.
Very basic. Like Bob Jones died this date of, and it would have an of, and it would say
Agricultural
fall.
accident.
Agriculture, fall, wound, broken arm, broken leg.
Yeah.
I don't want to misquote this, but I think more than anything, or what stood out as a major cause of death, they would list it as teeth.
Oh my
Infection
God.
And it would where people would get septicemia or what, I don't know what it was. You
From
can
their
have heart
rotting
attacks,
mouths.
rotting, because
Yeah.
your teeth would rot. And it went up after the New World was discovered and sugar consumption shot through the roof. The teeth became a leading cause of death.
Wow.
And they didn't, and it took them a while to understand why it would be listed as teeth. And then one day it was like, oh, well, because your teeth were rotting. And that they didn't have a lot of dental issue, or didn't have the level of dental issues that we do now, or did after the consumption of sugar, or discovery
Weird.
of cheap sugar.
Yum.
Bon appetit.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Who's ready for Fruity Pebbles?
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.